Hello, gamers. You're listening to the smooth sounds of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 127. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to another edition of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Brent Felsing, and joining me tonight are Bender Holt, Frankie Ayler, and... Oh my. Do we not have Ben Boyce here tonight?
I think it's past his bedtime now.
Oh, no.
I don't know if he's ever going to be back on the show. I think once you hit a certain age, you just can't stay up past 10 o'clock anymore.
Yeah. He is... he's not, but I'm going to say he's the oldest guy in this podcast, and that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. He's in bed. He's in bed asleep right now. But yes, Mr. Boyce, it's his birthday today for another hour and 15 minutes, pushing 50. He looks great. He's an awesome gamer. Good for him. Really hope he's having a wonderful birthday. But that means because he's not here, the inmates are running the asylum, and it's Boyce. He's like, I can trust you guys. I can trust you guys at the show.
You can't spend your whole life worrying about your mistakes. You f***ed up. You trusted us.
Poor choice.
Poor choice. We're going to make you regret it, buddy. But we hope you're having a great birthday. Guys, we got a lot to talk about tonight, but let's talk about what we've been playing. We've got a lot of gaming in this week. Frankie, I want to come to you real quick because we talked about Mass Effect Andromeda last week, and you weren't too sure if you were going to finish the game, and lo and behold, you finished the game. Let's talk about Mass Effect Andromeda.
I did. I finished the game. So I hit a point with it where I just stopped caring about doing side missions because I don't think a lot of the characters in the game are very interesting, except for maybe two of them. So I just stuck to doing priority op missions, which are your main story missions. And I was playing last night, actually, after we finished our LawBreakers stream, and I hit a screen that, is kind of like, this mission's the point of no return. Is there anything you do? You can either go or go back and do other stuff. So I had one more loyalty mission I wanted to finish for Drac. He's the Krogan character in your party. I love him. He's probably my favorite character in the game, honestly. So I hadn't gone and done his, which was recovering. It wasn't the Krogan arc, but it was like some seeds or something. So ran through, did that, did a couple other minor, side missions that I figured I would wrap up really quick. I don't know if they have any bearing on the end of the game or not, but I figured just in case they did, I wanted to do them. So did that, hopped in there this morning, and ran through the last mission of the game, finished it up. Kind of bittersweet. I'm glad I'm done with it, which is weird to say about a game. It took me about 31 hours to get through. And it's just... It's hard for me to say if I hate the game or like the game. I'm at this weird in between where the combat was a lot of fun and the game was just interesting enough where it was very obviously meant to set up more Mass Effect in the Andromeda universe, and that's not going to happen. So part of me is sad about that because I actually do think going forward, this game was actually a pretty good foundation for a new trilogy, whatever they want to do with it. But outside of that, though, like I said, it just the game, getting past the 20-hour mark and getting to the finish line was a struggle for me. It just a lot of characters just aren't interesting, and just the constant expression on Ryder's face, he just has this really disinterested, half asleep, staring off in the distant look on his face all the time. So you're having these really intimate conversations with certain characters, and he's just kind of sitting there looking like he's falling asleep, responding. So there's a lot of stuff that kind of breaks the immersion. But overall, I mean, I paid $30 for the game. I don't feel like I overpaid for it at $30. And I don't know. I'm glad that I finished it. We'll just say that. I'm glad that it's another game I add to the completed list that's not sitting in my backlog. That's 47 gigs I freed up on the PS4, so that's all good.
Well, I have a question for you, because you mentioned it before. You were like, man, if this wasn't a Mass Effect game, it might be a little bit better. Now that you've played through it, if it wasn't a Mass Effect game, do you think you would have enjoyed it more, seeing as your expectations would have been tempered a little bit?
Probably. I think if they weren't going with the Mass Effect thing, they could have. There were a lot of things that I felt they could have tinkered and not even bothered having in there. Stuff that was probably in there more for fan service, like there's a lot of branching dialogue trees that really ultimately have no effect on anything that you don't really need.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you get in there, you take that stuff out, and kind of like the romancing stuff that the Mass Effect games, it's in there because it's a Mass Effect game.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's just a really campy sci-fi cover shooter.
I feel like it would have been bad either way you went with it. If it was a Mass Effect game, obviously it didn't meet expectations. If it wasn't a Mass Effect game, it would have just been considered a poor Mass Effect ripoff. Like a cheesy Mass Effect ripoff. So it probably would have had a negative stigma about it no matter which way they went with it. So
yeah, that's true.
So no, I'm glad you finished it, man. That's one more game you can tick off the list. And like you said, that's 47 gigs you can free up for Hellblade, which is only like 7 or 8 gigs. So
nice. There
you go.
So you got 40 gigs for Destiny 2 probably?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment there. So, but no, that's awesome, man. But what else you been playing?
Been messing around with Elder Scrolls Legends a little more. I don't think we've talked about this game on the show yet, but so I think you hopped in there too when it finally came out. We were all waiting with bated breath, like, okay, this game looks pretty cool. Hand it over, and it'll come out in June. It'll come out in July. Eventually, it'll come out. So it finally came out, and I've been messing around with it. Game is really addictive. Love it. So. Just kind of getting in there. I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on the rules of everything, how to play, how to build the deck, stuff like that. So still can't beat Lord Nil whatever. Who cares?
Lord Nerfin.
Yeah, jerk.
He's a cheating bastard, dude.
He sucks. So I'm still trying to build a deck around. It's really based on luck.
Oh, it is.
Because I could have so many cards that I could play almost immediately, but the chances of me drawing them in time to play them and start hammering at his health. It's been against me, so but yeah, I mean, I've been dabbling with that. It's been a lot of fun, so I'm looking forward to finishing that. Probably start dabbling with some of the other stuff. I know you mentioned there's like an arena, so you can do like against bots or against people. So I kind of want to dig a little deeper into that game because it is a lot of fun. I just the thing I like about it is it doesn't cause my phone to overheat, so I'm not holding like a time bomb when I'm playing it, but it still drains the battery really fast. So I typically can play I can make one attempt at work before I'm like, all right, well, if I keep playing, I'm not going to have battery for the end of the night, so I'm going to stop. But I also downloaded Hearthstone. Haven't played it yet, but I continuing to fall down the card game rabbit hole because of Elder Scrolls Legends.
Yeah, I've played it. I was fortunate. Like you said, there's a lot of luck involved. I was fortunate to get the right set of cards, especially the ones where you can attach gear to certain characters and their attack level goes up. You play another card that boosts another character, buffs them. Whether it's gear or another attacker. I got like a lucky draw where I was able to boost all my stuff, and I realized, oh my god, if I just attack with all 3 of them right now, I'm going to kill them, and I did. And it was just a lot of luck. And that's my problem with card games. I think they're really, really cool. I think they're an awesome idea. I love the strategy behind it. I love trying to learn everything about these cards. All these different cards have different perks, different things, different benefits. Some of them have downsides to them. There's a lot to this game. But in the end, it comes down to the luck of the draw. And if I didn't have bad luck, Frankie, I wouldn't have any luck at all. And especially when I'm playing online where there's a lot of luck involved, I am just a train wreck. And I get frustrated easily. And, if I go 3 or 4 games, I'm just getting these cards that require 6 magic. Even if most of my deck is stacked with low magic cards, I'll just keep getting the highest ones early on. I'm just like, I can't do anything with these. I can't even play them. And by that point, I'm already down. My HP is already down 7 spots. I'm just like, okay, I'm trailing from behind here. But it's when it comes to luck, dude, I just don't do well with it. And there's a lot of luck required in this game. But there is a fair amount. There's a lot of strategy too. And there's a lot of people that can do a lot better than I can when they get dealt a crappy hand. And that's just kudos to them. But no, it's a cool game. It's got a cool presentation. Like I said, it's really, really fun. The only reason I haven't played it as much lately is it's because it's a mobile game. And, I can play it and play it and play it. And after I'm just like, I'm going to take a break from playing on my phone because I don't really like playing on my phone. But, then I get those itches. I'm just like, I'm going to play a little bit today. So it's just, I played it a lot at launch. I got through the story, played a bunch of arena, played a bunch of people online, and kind of just stepped away from it. I'm trying not to do the one thing that I made a big mistake with Clash of Clans, and that was sinking a lot of money into a game. and I'm not going to do it again this time with this game. I know they have those packs that you can buy. I am just earning everything by playing. Man, I tell you, Clash of Clans is a dark place. You know, I don't care how cute it is. That thing's the devil, and I'm not the only one. A part of the Short Pause Guardians that have fallen down that rabbit hole. I'm not going to mention any names. They know who they are, but it's I'm trying to avoid paying for anything in Elder Scrolls Legends. But no, like you said though, it's a fun game. Oh, you're already shelling out, aren't you?
Sure am.
Sure are. Well, good luck with that.
$30 out the window so far on card packs.
$30.
I'm just getting started.
You are just getting started. Because I know where you're going to end up, and it's where I ended up with Clash of Clans. And when I went to my iTunes account and looked at my spendings, I was like, oh, here's a problem, and deleted that game immediately. So, yeah, no microtransactions for me. I got to stay away from that, and so do you. You got a big fall coming up. Bender? Yeah, it is too late. Bender, coming over to you. You surprised us. You jumped in and played through A Wolf Among Us. Let's talk about that, man. What'd you think about it?
Yeah, it was a game that Frankie's talked about for a long time, and always said it's one of the best Telltale games out there. And I got it a while ago on Games with Gold on Xbox, and I was like, you know what? They just announced a sequel, a second season. Might as well jump in and just see what this game's all about. And I gotta say, Frankie was right. This is definitely one of the best Telltale games that they've done. It's a really cool, unique story. It's got some cool characters. The story takes some really interesting, unexpected turns. It's basically about the gist of it is these like fairy tale characters that live in New York City, but they make themselves look like humans using these spells called glamours, and they some stuff goes down, and the sheriff, basically he's like the detective, he's the big bad wolf, he's Big B Wolf. That's what he goes by, and he's trying to solve the crime, and it's just really cool. And there's other characters like Snow White and Ichabod Crane and Mr. Toad from The Wind in the Willows, and all kinds of really cool characters it's like a modern take on some of these classic characters that we've heard about for years. But it's just a really cool thing. It's 5 episodes like most Telltale games. Like I said, the story does a lot of things that I didn't expect, and I just really enjoyed it. So that really got me excited to play the second season. So whenever that comes out, I'm definitely gonna have to check it out. But The Wolf Among Us is a really, really good game. It's definitely something I would recommend to other people who like the Telltale type of thing.
I really like the presentation of that game, the noir vibe to it. Some of the music was really, really good. There's the presentation. I love the world they created in that game. It was just this real cool, just crime noir type of setting, and it was done perfectly from what I played. I only played through, I think, the first two episodes, and that's where I had left off. But it was the presentation was fantastic. It's a great looking game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I like the way it ended, and at least my ending anyway. I don't know. I'm sure there's different ways it could end, but I just like the way it all played out, and I thought it was a really cool game. So yeah, check it out if you haven't.
Yes.
Cool.
That's what I'm curious to see, is how they carry the ending into the next game. Because I don't know if you noticed, but at the end, because as you play the game, it'll you get like Snow will remember this, stuff like that, and there's a decision you make at the end of the game that like the entire town will remember. So it's like I don't know what you chose to do, but like where you, whatever decision that you choose to like handle one of these scenarios with, leaves like this impression of you with the town. So I want to see if they actually do anything with that in the second game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see where they go from here. And yeah, but yeah, I liked it a lot. It was a good suggestion, Frankie.
Yes,
Frankie, you said that's on Vita, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to download that on Vita. That way I can play through it there. I do want to play through that game. I want to finish it at least. So, did you play anything else, Bender?
Other than that, I just started a game that I'm playing through for review that I can't talk about yet, but look forward to hearing about that in a future episode.
Can't wait to get your thoughts on it, buddy. Let's see. What did I play this week? Oh, Hellblade, and it's probably my favorite game of 2017.
Oh,
No,
that's
it's-
all. Just no big deal.
It's important to point out that I have not played a lot of games through to completion this year. So I haven't seen the end of Horizon Zero Dawn. I haven't seen the end of Breath of the Wild. Some 2 titles that are making a lot of noise for Game of the Year. But I did play through Hellblade, and out of all the games I played, even the ones that I haven't completed, the one thing I will say, none of them grabbed me like Hellblade did. Like early on in the story, and I seriously wanted to see this game through to the end. Every single day I got home, I was like, I'm playing Hellblade. And as much as I liked Horizon Zero Dawn so far, and as much as I've liked Breath of the Wild, this game was just like, all right, dude, you're going to play this, and you're going to play it right now. And that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to play it because Hellblade is a fantastic game. There are going to be people that probably won't care for it based on the subject matter and how they interpret that and how they, whether or not they can appreciate what Ninja Theory was trying to do. This is not a feel-good game. When you play through it, it's dark. It's disturbing, and it'll hit home for certain folks who deal with any sort of mental illness. This game might hit a couple of chords with them, but overall, it's just a fantastic story. And Senua is probably one of my favorite characters of all time, with what she's battling in the game and what she's going through. There's multiple times, like the combat. I would say the combat is. I wouldn't say it's the weakest element of the game, but it's probably the most just. Okay, this is cool. Everything else is what makes this game go. But the combat, even though it's not like incredible, it's still really exciting at times. And the reason I love the combat portion of it is because of Senua as a character. You want her to like survive. You want her to get through what she's going through. And honestly, when you're in combat, you don't want to fail her by screwing up. Like, you're doing your best to try to parry these attacks and get her through to the next area. It's just never before, not in a while anyways, have I been this vested into a character. I mean, she is so deep and so complex, and everything that she's going through, you can't help but feel bad for her. I mean, you really do. It's just the presentation of that game, the visuals, the world that they've created is, like I said, every different area they go into is just the things nightmares are made of. I mean, they're just haunting images everywhere you go. The sound is incredible. The sound is absolutely incredible. If you are playing this game, put on headphones. Actually, use stereo headphones. Surround sound headphones are fine. You'll still get kind of a cool effect. But if you wear stereo headphones, the way they did the sound with Senua is her voices are in her head. She hears voices. That's part of her illness that she deals with. And as you're playing the game with the stereo headphones, you hear the voices as they're talking to her. Some of them are kind of backing her. Others are belittling her and berating her and just a lot of negativity. And as you're playing it, even though it's a third-person game, it has like first-person elements because you're in her head. You're hearing what she's hearing. And it's incredibly impactful and it's incredibly effective. And when the voices, you're sometimes wondering, these voices are kind of annoying. They actually help you in some instances. When you're in combat and you have the voices talking, if an enemy spawns behind you and they're coming to attack, you'll hear a voice say, "Look out behind you," or "Look out," or "Move, Senua," and you'll know to dodge out of the way because someone's coming up to attack you. So I mean, they're useful in some ways, but at other ways, they're very effective to kind of deliver home what these people deal with on a daily basis who suffer from psychosis and things like that. After you beat the game, there's actually a feature in the game itself that you can watch where they talk to like neuroscientists that they consulted with during this game and people who have dealt with this illness before to get their feedback. And when you get their responses to the game, how they're like, this is the perfect way to tell this. This is the perfect way to get out what I've been experiencing. It's just, man, this is an awesome game. For $29.99, you're getting an awesome game. An 8-hour story that's impactful, that has an awesome protagonist, and it's just it's an awesome experience. And right now it's easily my favorite game of 2017.
Damn.
Wow.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So I watched some of the stream. I didn't want to watch too much just because I already knew I wanted to get the game.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to kind of see what the combat looked like in action. Kind of underwhelming for Ninja Theory combat. And I don't know how many Ninja Theory games you've played in the past, but I'm used to like the Ninja Theory, like, you have Devil May Cry, Dante is fighting all these enemies at once. just going through whacking the crap out of people. Heavenly Sword, same thing, bunch of enemies swinging around, sweet looking sword. This one is just kind of, I don't want to say Dark Soulsy, but it's kind of more that focused on like a more intimate, like one-on-one battle,
which it is early on. There are some battles later in the game where you have to manage a crowd of anywhere of up to 10 or 12 people. I mean, it gets chaotic, but in a good way. Like, you were seriously, and that's where the voices come in, because when you're surrounded, she has an awesome parry attack, or an awesome parry ability where you time it out right. Dude, the effect is sweet. Like, this huge like flash happens, and it kind of goes in slow motion, and then you can attack. It kind of breaks their stance, and then you have this thing called focus, which she uses like. Focus is when you see certain symbols, you have to focus on them, or there are certain mirages you're looking for that kind of reveal things, and you use focus to pull those in. But focus also comes into factor into combat. As you're building up your attacks and as you're parrying more, you'll build up your focus quicker. And when your focus is ready to be activated, when you click it, it slows down time really quick. So they're moving slow, but you can go in and just like lay waste really quick and beat them up. And then as you bounce from character to character, you can just take out groups of them at a time. So, I mean, yes, early on, some of the combat, it's one-on-one, sometimes one-on-two. There are some, especially the final battle. My God. Sweaty palms, dude. It is highly intense, not just like in a Dark Souls way. You are taking on hordes of people in this game at certain points. It's actually really, really fun. And those are the moments, dude, where you're just like, I don't want to fail her. Like, you're feeling the struggle. You're feeling her battling, and it's fantastic. Everything about that game is really, really, really well done.
The other thing I'm curious about, is there a stamina bar that you need to worry about, or are you...
There is absolutely no HUD on the screen. Nothing.
Okay.
That's another great thing about it. There's nothing on the screen. No health, no stamina, nothing. You just go in and play. Like, if you're getting beat up, if you're close to dying, you'll see like kind of like red tints on the screen, and a little bit of blood is kind of an indicator that you're in trouble, but there is no HUD. It's awesome.
Cool.
And same for the enemies. You don't know what their damage is at, but you'll hear voices saying, finish him, you're getting close. So, I mean, like I said, the voices are sometimes cool, and other times the voices are not so cool.
I was really impressed with the way the game looked, like especially the way she looks as a character. Like, her facial animations are phenomenal. Like,
dude.
That really struck me. I was really impressed by that.
Some of the best facial capture you'll ever see in a game. I mean, it's incredible. There's actually some points in the game. Some of the characters are actually like full motion video. They're like some of the other characters, but they're not like standing out. They're kind of like blended into the background. And there were a couple times I'm like, is that video or is that game? I can't tell if that's computer generated or whatnot. But then there's other ones like, okay, yeah, that's definitely not computer generated. But it's yeah, dude. For Senua, she is all computer generated the whole time, and it's fantastic. The emotion in her eyes. I mean, they can get her with like a blank stare on her face when she's like contemplating things. Like I said, the presentation, the way they just get the struggle through to the gamer is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's an awesome game. It's an incredible game. It's a game that everyone needs to play. So, big fan of Hellblade. $29.99. Check it out on PS4 or PC. I heard the PC version just looks incredible. The PS4 version works good. It's you can play it at 60 hertz, which brings down the resolution a little bit. I haven't gotten the final stats. I know Digital Foundry put out a video today. I didn't get a chance to see it. Or you can play with at 30 frames, but it bumps up the resolution. I didn't try doing that because I wasn't playing on my 4K TV at the time. I just went with the 60, and it's beautiful in motion.
Awesome.
So, Hellblade was a great game, but we got to talk about some new releases. But first, before we get into the new releases, we have a special guest for tonight's show. We have an interview with Mike Haveri from Housemarque Games. He's the head of publishing. We sit down and we talk to him about Matterfall. We talk to him about Nex Machina and a couple other things. We'll have that coming up for you shortly. But first, Frankie, let's get into these new releases, buddy.
All right, Brent, we're going to start things off from the PlayStation side of things. A couple house-cleaning things from last week. Arcade Archives Neo Geo King of Fighters 96 snuck out last week, as well as a demo for NBA Live 18. So get in there, check that out if you want to. Onto the new releases. Obviously, as you alluded to, the big one, in my humble opinion, this week is Matterfall. Like you said, latest from our good friends at Housemarque. This is their take on like a 2D action platformer. So players will be able to manipulate matter to form, remove platforms. Kind of got like a Mega Man vibe from this game, watching it in action. So, cool thing to note: the game runs at 1080 60 on the PlayStation Pro, 960 on the base PS4. So, pro support coming in hot here. If you pre-order the game, so if you listen to this podcast and you don't have it pre-ordered and want to, you'll get the soundtrack and a couple other avatars and the theme, all that fun stuff. So, Brent, I come to you. Where are you at on Matterfall? Are you excited? Just as excited as Boyce, or around there, or?
I don't know if I want to be as excited as Boyce. It's uncomfortable when he gets that excited, but yes, I am excited for Matterfall. It's a Housemarque joint. They just make great games, dude. They make games that you get in there and they're intense and they're exciting. They got awesome music, beautiful visuals. There's gonna be a lot of shit blowing up in this game, so I'm excited about it. And after talking with Mike, he's really excited about what they've created there, and it sounds like it's gonna be just another Housemarque gem, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Bender, any interest in Matterfall?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, Housemarque make great games. I really liked Resogun, and all the stuff I've played from them has been super cool and really addicting. So I'm definitely looking to check this one out.
Yeah, this is why I was pushing to finish Andromeda, as I really didn't want anything to distract me. I want to hop into this game this week myself. So I'm queuing up to have a Housemarque week. I want to get through Matterfall and Nex. So. Yeah, I would bet money that this will be the indie spotlight game for this week. I know Boyce is extremely excited about it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, look forward to Matterfall. Up next, another huge release, Undertale, finally coming to consoles. This is cross-buy with the Vita. This is the wildly successful, very popular 2015 RPG. No one has to die in this game. You can get through, navigate your way through, I believe it's like bullet hell fields, and you can murder bosses or you can let them live. It's up to you. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So the game stand out for its storytelling, and it's a very colorful cast of characters. A couple cool notes about it. Draws inspiration from games like Mother, the Touhou Bullet Hell games, and the Mario and Luigi RPG series, as well as Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean?
Mr. Bean.
All right.
Also, I think a lot of this game was created by one guy, Toby Fox. So I know he composed the music. I think he outsourced some of the level design, but for the most part, this is all his work. So Bender, I'm going to come to you on this one. Do you have any interest in Undertale at all?
Yeah, I'd be willing to check it out. I've heard a lot of people talking about it, and so it seems to have had some good buzz over the years. So yeah, it's something I'd be interested in at least looking into.
Yeah. Brent, so it seemed like a good fit for the Vita this week.
Perfect fit. The fact that it's cross-buy with the Vita is pretty much a guaranteed purchase on my part. So yes, I'll pick this up, have it on the Vita when I want to get to it.
Yeah, I've always been curious about this game, so I'm looking forward to hopping in there. Also, note, if you're interested in a physical version, head over to fangamer.com. They will have a physical edition for $24.99 or a really pricey collector's edition. So I don't know that they're limited, but you can pre-order now. They ship sometime in September.
Are those just PS4 versions, or are they going to be like? Are they going
PS4 and Vita?
They're going to. Oh, really? They're going to have both in one box, or you can buy them individually?
Individually, I don't know about one box. They might have one that has both.
That'd be cool if the collector's edition had both.
That'd be nice. I know a couple limited run things have done that, so that would be nice to see.
Hell yeah!
All right, next up on the list, Bender, Sonic Mania. This looks like a Sonic game going back to Sonic's classic gaming roots, and I believe it's a follow-up to Sonic and Knuckles, which is crazy to think. Bender, talk to me about Sonic Mania, man.
I'm actually really excited about this one. It's I think it's going to be a perfect fit on the Switch. That's where I'm planning on getting it, and I'm going to go ahead and just download it. It's only like $20, right? Some 20, 30, something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not too expensive. It'll be a cool game to have downloaded to my Switch and just go back to the Sonic, good old days of Sonic games when they were still good.
Yep.
Yeah. And I like that they're kind of mixing classic Sonic stuff with like new levels that they just created for this game. I think that's really cool. So I'm really looking forward to how that all works out. But I love the old Sonic games, especially Sonic 2. Sonic 3 is very good as well. But Sonic 2 was my favorite. But this goes back
same.
to those days, and I'm super excited about that. So that'll be a good one to have on the Switch.
Sounds like it also has like the split screen co-op that 2 had.
So
that's making a return. So you could play as Sonic and Tails, I think. In
I would always
some of those levels.
back in the day, I would always turn Tails off because he would always screw things up for me.
Yeah.
Because like in the
What a
bonus
punk.
levels, on Sonic 2, you had the bonus level where you're running down the half pipe and you would have to collect rings and avoid the bombs. Tails
Yeah.
would always like collect rings as well, and then he would get hit by the bombs, and then I wouldn't get the Chaos Emerald at the end because I didn't have enough rings at the end because of him. So he always
What a
got on my
jerk.
nerves.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Next up on the list, Agents of Mayhem. This is Volition's first release, I think, as like a Deep Silver owned studio. That's not Saints Row, technically. But it's an open world action adventure game. It's a spin-off of the Saints Row series. I know it's set after the events of one of the endings from Saints Row 4. And there are a couple tie-ins between characters, locations to the Saints Row series. But essentially, you're have a group of agents. It's essentially like the Suicide Squad. You're a bunch of kind of bad guys fighting an evil corporation and some evil goons. So each agent, of course, has their own different abilities, but the game seems like it's centered around causing as much destruction and chaos as possible to fill up their mayhem meter to release these ridiculous mayhem attacks. Kind of seems like a little bit like Crackdown from what I can gather of what Crackdown is. Brent, come to you. Do you have any interest in this game?
A passing interest. I'm like way over. It's way over there. I'm looking at it like, do I go over there or do I just go home? I don't know yet. I'm looking at it from afar. I see it over there and I can hear it. I'm just like, that kind of sounds like fun, but I don't know yet.
Yeah, I myself am waiting to see some reviews. I'm curious to see what it is, but I'm worried that the sense of humor, this seems more like on that edgy, vulgar kind of, thing that I don't really care for. Saints Row is just stupid fun, and this just seems like it's going for that, oh, we're up in your face, flipping everybody off because we're cool. I'm just not into that.
See, the reason I'm concerned about it is, dude. I mean, let's be honest. We're 3.5 weeks away from Destiny 2. I've got a couple of games I need to finish. Like, I really need to finish some games, and I feel like this is between now and that. Other than Mario Rabbids, I think those are. And Mario Rabbids is going to be a game I'm going to play on the go. I'm in handheld mode when I'm at work, on my breaks and lunch and stuff, or when I'm upstairs with the kids. But between now and then, there are just some games that I need to beat or I need to complete before Destiny 2 drops, and I just think Agents of Mayhem is one of the games I don't want to add to the mix right now. It looks cool. It sounds like it could be a hell of a lot of fun. Some of the initial previews have sounded very positive. It's just I don't want to pick it up right now. I don't want it sitting there and be going, why'd you buy me if you're not going to play me, bro? So that's why no real. I'm trying to avoid it. I'm trying my best.
Yeah, I hear you. I just I'm gonna read some reviews, see what people are saying about it, and I don't know. Maybe I'll pick it up. We'll see.
So basically, me and you will be streaming it on Wednesday, probably.
Yeah, probably. That's typically how these things work.
I hope not. I hope we're not, but we'll see.
Yeah, but next on the list, speaking of games that look pretty cool that I want to play, Sudden Strike 4. This is a World War II era real-time strategy game / real-time tactics game. Apparently, this is a very popular series on PC. I've never heard of it. I've never been a strategy game fan, so that would explain why. But some of the early reviews that have come out for this game don't sound too great. It sounds like the controls are very poorly implemented, which pretty big deal for a strategy game. So, Brent, I know we've been kind of going back and forth on this one. Where are you at on Sudden Strike? This is looking like a pass for you too.
Some of those early reviews are my biggest concern with real-time strategy and real-time tactics games when they come to consoles. Obviously, these games are at home on PC with the keyboard and the mouse, and it's just more intuitive that way. Fortunately, we've had games like Halo Wars 2 that has made the transition over. I wouldn't say perfectly, but they're playable and they're enjoyable. Shadow Tactics was one I was really concerned about, and there is a steep learning curve to it. But once you get your head around it, it's pretty intuitive how they got things to work. But early reviews of this say this did not make the port It did not make the transfer over to consoles very well. And
Yeah.
I don't want to play one of these games where the controls are going to be a headache. And if they don't make sense, I mean, that the controls are directly related to gameplay. And if I'm not having fun playing it, I don't want to play it.
Yeah. Also, $60 price tag on that, so seems a little steep right now. So, next on the list, City Skylines PlayStation 4 edition. This is, of course, the popular city building game launched on Xbox this spring. If you want a retail version, head over to GameStop. I believe they have the exclusive on that. So, if you've been waiting for cities to hit PlayStation, this is your week. Night Trap 25th Anniversary Edition. The remaster. This is the one remaster I don't feel good about this one coming out. This game could not have aged well. I don't see it at all. I have just the morbid curiosity to buy this and actually check it out, like outside of my limited run release that I'm never going to open. But Brent, what do you think, man? You interested in Night Trap?
I'm interested in it because it sounds like it's one of those games where it's so bad it's good. And it might be a fun game to like get a 6-pack and stream it and just see how stupid it is, and then how drunk I can get. I mean, that seems like that'd be the ideal way to play this game. From all intents and purposes, everything I've heard that this is just not a good game. And the fact that it's coming to console, to next gen consoles, I don't know what kind of remaster we're looking at, but I ordered the limited run version. I don't want to open it either, but I don't know, man. This might be a game that might be worth streaming just like as a one-off. Like, okay, look, let's see how stupid this is, and we can all watch how stupid it is together. So who knows?
Yeah. Interesting note about this one. Nintendo, no interest in bringing the game to the eShop.
Shocking.
Screaming Villains has mentioned the only thing that they're willing to talk about with, the reason why not is just time frame issues with Nintendo. Don't know what that means exactly, but don't count on seeing this game on the Switch. Next on the list, Nidhogg 2. This is the sequel to the extremely popular fencing multiplayer game. This game looks really freaking cool. But this one, drastic visual style change from the first game, which of course also brings character customizations because your character isn't just a sprite. But the point of the game is you're kind of trying to make your way across the screen, and you have another character that you're fighting against. So this one, it looks like you get bows and arrows, daggers, some fisticuffs. You get all kinds of different ways to kind of stop them as you're trying to progress to the end of the screen. It kind of divides each section as a level as you're scrolling through. So the goal is to get to the other side. And it seems like as you stop to, the other player is heading the other way. So I don't know. Could be fun. I don't know if there's online to this or not. It would probably benefit if there were. But if you're interested in Nidhogg 2, look forward to that. The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing 2. This is the next entry in Neocore's action RPG series. I believe they're planning a trilogy, so if you enjoyed the first one, the second one is available this week. Defenders of Ekron is a shoot 'em up with some exploration elements of an adventure game, so that looks pretty cool. Iliosi's Hunt. This one's a top-down twin-stick shooter where players take down monsters with some cutting-edge tech. Looks pretty cool and chaotic. How about this one, Observer? This is a first-person cyberpunk horror game from the creators of Layers of Fear. Players will take on the role of a neural detective who hacks suspects' minds to manipulate their memories and fears with a device called the Dream Eater. Brent, interested in this one?
I am interested in it because Bloober Team could actually tell a pretty good tale. I thought Layers of Fear had an interesting story, but it was the performance of the game on consoles that was a concern, especially the final act. It completely fell apart, chugged along. I didn't know what the hell was going on. It was so bad. So I'm hoping this time around they have their head around the hardware a little bit better, and they can make a game that runs better. But they do have abilities to tell interesting stories and scary ones at that. So you know what? This might be a game might make its way into my backlog.
Yeah, it looks interesting. That's definitely one I'm interested in firing up at some point. Don't know when. Won't be this week, but sometime. Next up, this is a Friday release, but Zero Escape, Zero Time Dilemma finally hops on to PlayStation 4, joining the prior two entries in the Zero Escape series on the Nonary Games collection. Well, Brent, you played this one on Vita, right?
I did play a little bit of this one on Vita. My question is will this go into the Nonary Games, or is this going to be a separate thing?
This is a separate thing.
Oh man, that'd be cool if it would like go into the actual Nonary Games like file. They have them all in one spot, but Oh well.
Yeah.
Yes, I did play this one on Vita, and it's pretty interesting. These games are these games are
That's a
very
word for
very
'em.
interesting. But no, it's a cool game. I haven't finished it. It's a long game, but from what I have played, it'll make you think. It's just one of those. Holy cow! They made this into a game. All right. So
now, correct me if I'm wrong, but these games have just a dozen different possible endings.
a ton, from my understanding. Basically, what it's setting up from where I was at in the game, it looks like there's going to be multiple outcomes.
Right. Yeah, I've always had an interest in playing through these. I picked up the Nunnery games when they came out on PlayStation back in, what was that, April?
I think it was April. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had that sitting around, but I have that in the Danganronpa collection I want to get to at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just glad that all three of them are now going to be on the console itself. So looking forward to hopping in there at some point. Next up, Tokyo 42. This is an isometric open world shooter where your character is framed for a murder they didn't commit, and you delve into this dangerous world to set the record straight. This game released on Xbox to high praise a couple months back, so this is another one that I have a little bit of interest in checking out at some point. Next up, 3D Mini Golf. This is it's a golfing title that houses 54 courses that have 18 real-world inspired courses. So if you're interested in playing some more mini golf games, check that one out. Dark Mystery is a puzzle platformer. Looks like it has like a cartoony, some cartoony characters that look pretty similar to the Badlands bird creatures.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So I don't know. Looks like it could be all right. Pillars of the Earth is an adventure game that's based on Ken Follett's best-selling novel. So if you're interested in checking that out, I don't know if this is going to be like an episodic series. It seemed to imply that it would be, but yeah. So that'll be launching this week. A couple limited run things I wanted to note really quick for next Friday. Lily and N++.
Ooh, N++.
Yeah, that was a surprise announcement this week. So if you're interested in collecting physical games, limitedrungames.com this Friday to pick those up. On the DLC side of things, one thing to note is Starfire, available in Injustice 2 for Season Pass holders and Character Pack 1 pass owners. Will be available for everybody to purchase on Tuesday. Minecraft Story Mode Season 2, Episode 2, dropping on Tuesday. Doesn't have an actual episode title, it's just Episode 2.
Really?
So,
Was Episode 1 Episode 1?
Yeah, believe so.
Okay.
Whatever.
Getting a little lazy there, but okay.
Lastly, Bender. No Man's Sky has an update called Atlas Rises. This is an update that supposedly adds 30 hours of branching story content, some procedurally generated guild missions, some UI improvements, these portal stargates for fast travel, and joint exploration. These like glitch orbs, they're calling them. So you can finally meet up with other players in the game, and I think it kind of works similar to Journey. So you can't really do a whole lot to interact with each other, but you can hang out with up to 16 friends.
And it sounds like it's proximity chat, where if everyone's, if you get close to somebody, you can talk to them and they can hear you, but the further you get away, the less you can hear them. So proximity chat is a part of the joint exploration thing.
Nice. Bender, any interest in hopping into No Man's Sky to check out this update?
Yeah, actually, hearing about that update, I was like, man, I need to check this game out because I didn't check it out whenever they added the other stuff, like they added like base building and some other things. They've been adding updates steadily throughout the last year that it's been out. But yeah, I enjoyed that game. I'm sick and tired of all the negative comments every time they put out a tweet. I mean, you know what? If you didn't like the game, let it go. Move on with your life. There are people who enjoyed the game and people who want to keep playing it. So, anyway, that's the internet for you, I guess. But yeah, I really enjoyed No Man's Sky as it was. I didn't have the crazy expectations that some people had for it, but I thought it was cool. And I actually do want to jump back into it and check out some of these updates. So I'll probably do that pretty soon.
Cool.
Frankie, if I didn't know better enough, I'd say he was almost slightly triggered there. He was close. A little bit. He was close to going full triggered. I was like, well, I'm glad we're recording this because this could be interesting. But he pulled it back. He pulled back. But I feel like he was close to becoming triggered.
It's just one of my pet peeves. I mean, No Man's Sky has just become the whipping boy of gaming this year. It's like everybody loves to take a shot at it. I'm like, it wasn't that bad. I mean, even if you did have wild expectations for it, it wasn't a bad game.
It's kind of like the
Man's
Wii
Sky,
U. Just takes a
Battleborn.
beating, and Bender was like,
Oh,
"What the
man.
hell? Leave my Wii U alone."
Now you're trying to trigger him.
I am. I'm sorry. I'm done.
All right, moving on here, guys. PlayStation VR side of things. Paranormal Activity: The Lost Souls is a VR first-person horror experience. So if you're interested in that, check that out. On the Vita this week, Undertale, as we mentioned before, is cross-buy at the PlayStation 4. So, Brent, Undertale this week. Awesome. Cool. Guys, let's hop into the Xbox One side of the fence now. Just a quick note, the Spotify app is available now on the system. So if you've been waiting for Spotify to come on over, go download it. One other thing I wanted to note that gamers on Xbox would probably be interested to hear about: Call of Duty Infinite Warfare Absolution DLC is also now available on the system. What's new this week? Well, on top of Agents of Mayhem, the NBA Live 18 demo, the Armello Deluxe Edition bundle that we mentioned on PlayStation from last week, Arcade Archives King of Fighters 96, Pillars of the Earth, Observer, Night Trap, the Starfire DLC, Minecraft Story Mode Episode 2, and Sonic Mania. Thumper is a Friday release on the Xbox One this week.
Oh, yeah.
This, of course, the very popular Rhythm Hell game, where you get to hop in and guide the Space Beetle on his journey through space to defeat his nemesis, Giant Head.
Awesome
Brent.
game. Awesome soundtrack. If you got an Xbox One, you like rhythm games, just buy it. Trust me.
Perfect. Did you pick this up on the Switch?
I did.
How's it playing there?
Runs great on the Switch.
Wonderful. So, yeah, we have Thumper on everything now. That's great.
And as it should be.
Indeed. So, you heard it from Brent. Pick up Thumper on Friday. Conan Exiles. This is a game joining the game preview on Wednesday. This, of course, being the open world survival game set in the world of Conan the Barbarian. So, if you're into game preview games, check that out. Speaking of game preview games, leaving game preview this week, We Happy Few on Wednesday. Wow. So this is leaving game preview, hitting full release at a damn near full retail price of $15.99.
Oh.
So pro tip, if you want to get We Happy Few, jump in there now and pick it up while it's still in game preview before the price hike. But this will be the Life in Technicolor update that's going to add the story elements, a new UI, and new joy effects. Brent, I'm going to come to you on this one. Now, this is a game that I think, except for Bender, we're really excited about after we saw it E3 last year. Very promising looking game. The game preview version hit. I've never seen any kind of anticipation for a game disintegrate so fast. Where are you at on this? Are you interested in firing up the full release version of We Happy Few? You going to be able to shake the bad taste that the game preview left in your mouth?
I'm actually going to try to. I'm going to download it again. I took it off my Xbox One. I mean, it was like seriously maybe a week or two after I played it, I was like, this is not what I was expecting. It's not what I was expecting. And I know they've updated the game quite a bit since then. They've made a lot of changes to it, a lot of improvements. But if this is going to add all the story elements, maybe this is something I want to jump back into now and see what there is to offer, because I really hope that from what we saw at E3 and what we saw those previews, the game looked incredible. We're like, man, this is the game I want to play. I'm hoping that maybe the previews, the early access or the preview mode of it just didn't have all the meat that we really wanted from this game. So hopefully we'll see what this game is really all about this week. I am going to download it again, and I will jump into it and see what it's all about.
Yeah, I want to experience the story. I have high hopes that the story element of this game is going to be something special. So that's what I'm hoping to get out of it. I'm with you. I'm probably going to hop back in this week, get it re-downloaded, updated, see how that thing's looking at full release. Lastly on the list for Xbox this week, Circuit Breakers. A Wednesday release. This is a top-down twin-stick arcade shooter. So if you're into those, look forward to that. On the Bender's World, on the Nintendo Switch, what we missed last week, Severed from Drinkbox Games. This, of course, being the touch control-based dungeon crawler that's been on Vita, 3DS, and I think it's on iPhones, Androids, any touchscreen devices. So obviously, it's a touchscreen game. You can only play it in handheld mode, which people seem offended at, which I don't understand at all. But whatever. It's touchscreen. It's a touch interface game. That's what you're gonna get. So $14.99. Pick up Severed. Bender, you played this on the 3DS a little bit. Tell us a little bit about Severed.
Severed is a really cool, really unique game. It's by Drinkbox, the guys who did Guacamelee and the Mutant Blobs games. So it has their same type of art style. They have that really cool, like cartoony kind of art style to it. But this one is like completely different from all their other games. It's a very dark story, very unsettling at times, but it's also really cool. Like the combat is really interesting. It, like you said, it's all touch base, so you're slashing at these enemies, and some enemies will like cover up certain parts of their body, and you have to like slash a certain direction, or and sometimes you have to face multiple enemies at the same time. They'll have these timers that when the timer goes down, they're going to attack you. So you have to kind of switch back and forth and like swipe them to reset their timer to keep them from attacking you, and all kinds of really interesting stuff going on. It's like a dungeon crawler type of game where you're exploring from room to room, finding different enemies, finding upgrades. You get monster parts that you can use to craft different upgrades and armor parts and stuff. So it's really interesting, but like I said, it's really dark and really atmospheric and really cool too. So it's definitely, I never actually finished it, but I got fairly far into it, and I liked it a lot from what I played. I played it on 3DS. So, and like you said, I don't know why anyone would be upset that you can't play it docked. It is only ever been a touchscreen game. It's only been on touchscreen interfaces before, so why would you think that you could play it on a TV? I don't know, but it's definitely a cool game if you want something that's going to be fun to play on the go. Severed is definitely a recommendation.
Some of those sections are so tough when you have enemies on different screens you got to keep turning around to. Some of those battles got pretty intense. Yeah,
for sure. There's like at least 3, I think. I don't know if I ever fought more than 3, but there's like 2 or 3 enemies that you have to fight at the same time, switching directions. Sometimes they get some hits in if you're not quick enough. I mean, and you kind of build up this meter if you can avoid getting hit for long enough, where you can like hit them like several times in a row and just cut off all their limbs and stuff, and then you collect the limbs and, and use those to craft upgrades. Like I said, it's really cool. It's really twisted, but it's cool. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've always wanted to play that game, so I'm gonna, when I get my Switch back, that's when I'm gonna be picking up. So looking forward to finally playing that game. Continuing on with what we missed last week, Arcade Archives Neo Geo The King of Fighters 2000, available now on the system. And Rocket Fist. This is a rocket-powered dodgeball arena game. $10. So get in there and check those out if you would like. This week, Sonic Mania coming to the Switch, as well as Troll and I. This is the kind of panned Maximum Games published adventure title, where players are aided by a big friendly giant to overcome obstacles. So if you've been waiting to get your hands on this on the Switch, this is your week. The Jackbox Party Pack 1 and 2 will be joining Party Pack 3 on the system, which of course are the prior entries in the hilarious party game collection series. And on Monday, there will be a demo for Rayman Legends, the definitive edition. So if you are probably the only person on the planet at this point who has not played Rayman Legends somewhere, try it out on Monday. On the Wii U, what we missed last week, just a pair of virtual console titles in the Soldier series, which I'm not too familiar with myself. But Soldier Blade and Final Soldier can be yours for $5.99 a piece. This week, come back next week. On the 3DS, what we missed last week, Eliminate Original. This is an atmospheric fantasy dungeon crawler. Looks pretty cool. And a demo for Monster Hunter Stories. So hop on, check those out. Coming this week, Chicken Wiggle. Now, yes, the name sounds really dumb. However, this is a platforming adventure game from the creators of Mutant Mudds and Zeo Drifter. So it stars a chicken and a worm that you keep in your backpack as they jump, peck, and worm grapple their way through the world. Players can also create and share their own levels in this game, so look for this on the 3DS this Thursday for $14.99. Brent,
instantly intrigued as soon as you said that.
Yeah, see? Knowing who makes it makes all the difference.
Yep.
Brent, before I throw it back to you, we have one PC release this week that's worth pointing out. StarCraft Remastered. This is a Monday release. Of course, a remaster of the original StarCraft game. I think Boyce played a lot of this game.
He did.
So I've never personally gotten into StarCraft. Brent, any interest in StarCraft?
Maybe a little bit. Like I said, I don't know anything about the game, but I know a lot of people love it. So how much does it cost?
That's confusing because it says $14.99, but it's also saying you have to own something else.
Oh,
So I'm not sure if it's $14.99 standalone or if there's more stuff you have to buy. I'm not totally sure.
We'll see about that one. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. Bender, you ever play StarCraft?
I've never played StarCraft. I have dabbled a little bit in Warcraft, but I don't have a whole lot of experience with real-time strategy games. I think they're okay, but it's just not my favorite genre.
Yeah, they're an acquired taste. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brent, that's gonna do it for the new releases.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Ayler. I appreciate it. Well, up next, as we talked about earlier, we had Mikael Haveri. He is the head of publishing from Housemarque Games. He took some time out of his schedule to talk about Nex Machina, Matterfall, and a couple other things. And without further ado, here's our interview with Mikael Haveri. Hey gamers, as we promised, we have Mikael Haveri from Housemarque Games. He's joining us for this interview. We get to talk to somebody from within the gaming industry. I mean, that's what we always try to strive to do with this show. You know, we're just gamers. We're not journalists. And, you know, to make sure our listeners and viewers are well informed, we always want to try to get somebody from within the gaming industry on the show to kind of talk video games, to kind of give our listeners and viewers an inside look to what goes on behind game development and what all it entails.
Cool. Yeah. And we're all just gamers too, by the way. We just get to play a little bit too much sometimes.
Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing in my book, man.
Well, Michael, first and foremost, thanks once again for joining us. We appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your busy day to talk with us. From a personal perspective, we're all huge Housemarque fans here at Short Pause, so it's an honor and a privilege to be able to chat with you guys for a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Just for just at the top here, for those that may be unfamiliar with your work, the monsters that they may be, we wonder if you could give us like a brief Cliff Notes version of the studio's history. Who or what inspired you guys? What would you say Housemarque's mission statement is, the studio, so to speak?
Honestly, mission statement. Well, usually what we do say is that like our unofficial, or maybe it's official now, I don't know. Our motto is that that gameplay is king. Mm-hmm. So no matter what we're doing, if it's, we used to do snowboarding games back in the day and then all kinds of titles, but we really want to stick to gameplay. We want somebody to feel good and responsive gaming, and this, that's where really the core for the company stems from, and that's something that we want to strive to be the best in, no matter what kind of genre we want to do. But basically, it's a 22-year-old company. It was started in '95 with two companies merging, Terramark and Bloodhouse. Both of those companies started in '93, making Amiga games. So there's a very, very early start, and then they started making video games. So that the kind of Amiga scene is where all that original tech and gameplay centric thinking kind of stems from.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well, you guys got a big title coming out next week in Matterfall, but before we get to that, we want to talk a little bit about Nex Machina, the last title you guys released just a few months back. We actually reviewed it here for the site. We had a great time with it, but what's the reception been like throughout the industry from fans as a whole? From our perspective, it seems like the game has been extremely well received, both critically and commercially.
Yeah, it's one of those titles that you make a niche kind of arcade shooter, mm-hmm. That, well, visually, technically, couldn't have been released in the '80s, but fundamentally, it's an '80s kind of game with simple controls and everything. So you never know how that's going to be received. Right. But apparently, people like it, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I love Nex Machina. It's a great time.
Yeah, and that's we keep hearing that, and it's wonderful to get that kind of you did something right when people kind of are receptive to it.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Nex Machina was the first title that Housemarque has ever self-published, right?
That's right. So usually we work very closely with Sony.
Mm-hmm.
They've been a great partner for a number of years, since early PS3 era, and we wanted to do this kind of differently with Eugene and everything. So we decided to self-publish. It's a bit different. You need to do a lot more stuff yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely been an experience, and we're always learning a lot more. So it's been very interesting, to say the least.
Now, what are some of the downsides or risks on your behalf as a company going that route as opposed to going with the publisher, self-publishing?
You basically rely on yourself on doing the financial risk, marketing, everything that has to do with publishing. If you do physical copies, all these has to be self-funded, designed, marketing materials, everything basically that you develop a game, and then you can give it to somebody like Sony, who have this massive machine that are already doing that stuff, so it's easy for them to add it in their line. But then when you need to do all those things yourself, it's kind of it's a lot of stuff.
I can only imagine how much you guys have to do and do that. But now, because Nex Machina was self-published, does that kind of leave the door open for you guys to be able to bring it to like Xbox One or Nintendo Switch? I mean, knowing that you own that IP, that you can do basically whatever you want with it, does that leave the door open for something like that?
Potentially, there's options always. We wanted to still focus on PC and PlayStation, as PlayStation's been a very good partner to us.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to do something with them and sort of a console exclusivity wise. But down the line, I think everything's open. But we're not looking that much down the line yet. We're focusing on currently what we have here. But potentially, yeah, it's the first IP we have, so I think we'll have more control options down the line.
So as you mentioned before, you guys have brought the Nex Machina both PC and PlayStation 4. What's it like working on both those? Is it easy to bring one to the other? What's that all entail?
It's funny that basically every extra platform that you make is a whole bunch of work.
Mm-hmm.
So we made a couple of games with Activision in the past. A game called Outland, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So it was PSP, 360. And then we did PC, Mac, and Linux later. And every one of those is always like a lot of work. So we have to budget it also that way, that it's this much more for another platform at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the easy thing about the PS4 and PC is that most of the game engines, Unreal and the one we have in-house, they work on PC.
Mm-hmm.
So usually you have some understanding of what the PC requirements are. So that's why, for example, a combination of PlayStation 4, which we're very used to, and then adding PC onto it, it's not the biggest leap.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, there's a lot of network things and Steam stuff that some things are going to be different regardless. But in terms of getting the performance right,
mm-hmm.
It's more or less already working on PC to some extent.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Michael, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you what it was like to work with the legendary Eugene Jarvis on Nex Machina. So what was it like to work hand in hand with someone like that, who someone who's influenced the studio through his previous work? What was that collaboration like?
It's weird to even think about that you'd ever get to work with a guy like that, and we didn't really know what we're getting into. It wasn't like there's a written plan like, hey, you guys need to do X, Y, and Z, and then that's it,
mm-hmm.
and then you're done with. But since he's been a huge influence. I think what we did see from the early kind of get-go was that we just had a good vibe. Like, he knew what we were talking about, and then we kind of understood the way he thought about games. Mm-hmm. So the chemistry was there from the beginning, and I think that was just a good foundation. And when you have chemistry, you can just chill and talk, and you can just, vibe or whatever. And in the end, I think it was mostly that we weren't really pressured to perform on a certain level or get things done just the right way. In the end, we were just kind of showing off our games and kind of telling Eugene, like, hey, this is how we did this title, and we did it similarly to what you did over here. And then if we had some cool innovations, we just kind of went to him like, hey, we did this kind of in a new way. What do you think about it? And, So it was very much you had that sort of apprentice teacher setting to it.
Mhm.
But in the end, it's just buddies like, hey, I like to do these things. Maybe I do that differently than you. What do you
Mhm.
think about this? So we just made Nex Machina, and we just kind of checked up on him. He's like, cool, I like that. Maybe you add a little bit more of this or that, but it wasn't any more strenuous than just a friendship where you just have similar job or passion.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, Michael,
Yeah.
let's transfer over to some Matterfall now.
Yeah.
So Matterfall releases next week, Tuesday on the PS4. For those unfamiliar with this game, like what's the quick elevator pitch for Matterfall? How would you guys describe it?
It's sort of our run and gun 2D platformer, akin to Gunstar Heroes, Mega Man, those kinds of games. It's
My language,
less.
Michael.
There you go. Yeah. These are it's less about puzzle solving. There's some of that. One of the, let's say, innovative elements is that you get to control this matter, which is basically these voxels that you can shoot in and out, and they can corrupt the people and robots around you. But just interacting with that is like a puzzle element, and then you're just shooting and blowing stuff up. The faster, the better you do that, the better score you get, and you try to survive to the end of the level. So I mean, it's a fairly basic arcadey concept, and we haven't done 2D platforming since Outland, which was more of a Metroidvania. So this is much less of a Metroidvania, but I guess those are the 2D platforming side of similarity there too.
Gotcha. So when I when I look at this game, I think what if Resogun were like a side-scrolling 2D like run and gun game? Is that like an accurate description of this?
Resogun is very much our take on, well, Defender, but
Yeah.
R-Type and all these shooting games. But the thing is that over there, and that's kind of a 2D setting. You have the plane, that the height vector, if you will, where you can just press up and down. But in a platformer where you're running, you need to jump, and there's much less of that. Well, you control that certain plane very differently. So in a sense, yeah, this is more like Super Mario than Resogun, but it's a good combination of those two, I'd say.
Gotcha. So I know you mentioned the gameplay mechanic with the creating the matter or corrupting the enemies. You create platforms or something, it looked like in the trailers. Is that right?
That's right. So there's going to be a lot of gameplay tied into what that matter is. You'll find out where it's coming from, how it's interacting with the environment and all the living things and everything on the planet, and it becomes a very central, thematically, story-wise, and also gameplay-wise. So that's really the kind of one of the very central pieces, if you will, and all the variations of that, you'll learn how to utilize them. But then other than that, it's just, you, guns, enemies, blowing shit up.
Yeah, that works for me.
There you go.
So with Matterfall releasing soon, you guys have been working with PlayStation for over 10 years now. It's a relationship that's bore some of the best games available on that platform. What's it like working with Sony, and how did that relationship start?
It was, I think, 2003, 4-ish, and we were pitching Super Stardust HD. So, for people who don't know, that's a brand or game that we actually, the first iteration of which was done in 93. So that was an old Amiga game. We did a PC version in 96. So it's been existing there for a while. But in 2003, we hadn't done an iteration of Stardust in a while. But then this, 360 had this arcade online stuff where it started becoming popular to buy like $10 games. And that actually was a viable marketplace. So we wanted to pitch something like that. And Sony got interested, and we just kind of went crazy with it. And when Stardust, Super Stardust HD was born, it really kind of, that's where our second phase of like arcade games started. So basically it's the Sony relationship has really influenced games to, until today. Like we really got into that vibe of, hey, we can actually do this kind of games for a living. There could be a market for us here. So I think Sony's been really an important part in letting us find what we really want to do ourselves.
That's great.
Nice. Man, Stardust, what a game.
Yeah,
that game is a visual treat. I know. I played it quite a bit. My brother played it religiously. I mean, he tried to get the multiplayer as high as he could. He was a big fan of Super Stardust, man, just as all of us were. So, but Nex Machina and Matterfall will have released within just 2 months of each other, with Matterfall coming out next week. Has this always been the plan to release these two games in such close proximity?
No. Well, I mean, I put it like this. When you're a game developer, you got to get shit done on time, or you run over the budget, and it doesn't look good. And some people you gotta start letting people go, or really, how do you squeeze the budget, right? We've usually been in or even lately, we've been in the position where we can actually choose to put games out when they're done. So, when you have the luxury of actually not releasing a game that's not done, then they kind of sometimes go over their schedules. But we're willing to live with that because I think the players really appreciate it. But then, when a game is done, it feels weird to kind of hold on to it. Like, no, we'll release Matterfall next year because it's too close to Nex Machina. That doesn't make sense too much to me. Maybe we could get more sales if we did it timed it right, but we're still a small company, so we don't. At least we got to work on it as long as we need it. Let's just say that.
Right.
So it's a weird thing, and it's like with movies or anything like that. You have to be careful about when you launch things because there's certain times that are better than others. But when it's done, it's good to get the players to just play it. Right. It feels weird to hold on to a title that's done. So I mean that's my 2 cents on it. We didn't really plan it like this, but who knows? Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I don't know.
Well, we were just trying to figure out, like, are there 2 separate teams working on these projects? How is?
Yeah, absolutely. We have since. So Alienation and Resogun were also being worked on at the same time. And then the Resogun team sort of took over Nex Machina, and the Alienation team kind of went on to do Matterfall.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of the transition there. So we've always had, for a long time now, we've had 2 teams working side by side on the game. So I guess that explains a little bit of how it goes. There's a bit of interconnectivity. Some people work on both games, some people. But mostly there's just actually 2 sets of great people on both sides of the company here.
Man, a well-oiled machine. I had no idea you guys had 2 separate teams working. That's pretty sweat.
Yeah, and they're not that big. They're kind of 15 people each. So depending, like Alienation was a bit bigger, but other than that, currently they're about similar size too.
That's awesome. If there is one thing you want gamers to know about Matterfall, what would you say?
Well, first of all, there's going to be a little gimmick there because I think people, it's the controls won't be as intuitive as you might think.
Ooh.
There's going to be the jump buttons in like people will say, "Oh, it's in the wrong place." No, we wanted to make it differently because our way is, in this case, it's better. So, like with Resogun. One of the things is that you jump in, the controls intuitively. Nex Machina does that very similarly. Here, there might be a little hiccup, and I hope that a lot of reviewers won't be like, I won't play that game because I have a button in the wrong place.
Uh-huh.
But we really wanted to innovate a little bit on how twin stick shooters and 2D platforming kind of format works. So if you can get over the jump buttons in the wrong place, you can enjoy a lot more, and there's actually a lot of benefits that can come from this little thing.
Uh-huh.
So that's one of the foremost things. Other than that, enjoy it. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be like action packed. Don't go in with too high expectation. It's like the Valerian movie. You guys seen that movie, Valerian?
No, but I want to.
Dude, if you read the reviews and you go in expecting something that's crazy, you might be disappointed or something. But I think with Matterfall, if you just go in and have fun with it, it's going to be one of the most awesome rides ever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what I have to say.
Well, look, I mean, if Housemarque's trying to do something innovative and they're trying to do something different, I'm just going to look at their past work. And like you guys have mentioned, it's all about the gameplay. It's all about the fun. If the design choice is to add the jump button somewhere else, then damn it. If it's going to make the game fun, then do it, then go with it.
Give us the benefit of the doubt. It is in the right place. And no, we don't want it to, there's always different ways to do things. We chose this one. Hope you can live with it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, well, you guys haven't steered us wrong yet, so we're we have faith.
Again, if we do something wrong, we'll admit it. We'll be the first ones to admit it. But until then.
All right, Mikael, before we let you go, Michael, sorry, before we let you go, we had a few other miscellaneous topics we were curious about. So. Obviously, Housemarque, you guys have mastered the arcade genre based on your previous titles. Any plans or ideas floating around the studio to sort of spread your wings, try something new? Outland, for instance, was a successful one-off Metroidvania effort from you guys during the last generation. We've seen the success that somebody like Guerrilla Games has had, branching out into Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a drastic departure from the Killzone franchise. Is Housemarque interested in making that sort of jump or trying something else?
Yeah, I mean, the only really core thing that we want to hold on to is that we keep gameplay as tight as we can, and other than that, who knows? We got quite a colorful history of games. Like Outland, you mentioned, is a bit off differently, but again, it's very influenced by Japanese shooters like Ikaruga, and most of our games do have some sort of a point of reference that is in either classic arcade or bullet hells or something like that. So if we're going outside of bullet hells, maybe we'll try some stuff. But we made 2 snowboarding games, right? So.
Anything's possible.
Right. So and one of those was on the original Xbox, which was way back. So I mean, you never know what we'll come up with next, and in the end, we don't want to compromise too much.
Right.
We don't want to try something completely off. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if we'll do any sport games again soon. But I think we've been learning a lot of cool things on what we want to do, what we can do. So you guys know what the Housemarque brand is. Mm-hmm. If we bring something very different in the future, at least you'll know what we'll try to accomplish. And if that fits your checklist, then you'll probably enjoy the game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of the future, I mean, is there any chance of revisiting some of your old, your previous games, Resogun, Dead Nation, Alien Nation, for a sequel? There have been a few entries in the Stardust series over the years, but, we haven't really seen a true sequel for any of your other games. Is this an option you're considering exploring down the line?
Everything's always a possibility. The reason that we haven't done too many is that most of our IPs are owned by Sony. Mm-hmm. So for example, if they want to talk about, if they want a Resogun 2 or if they want a new game, they'll let us know. Mm-hmm. They'll bring us those options and we'll talk about them. Nex Machina is our first IP that we own. So technically we can always do something with that if we want. or we can create a new IP again.
Mhm.
It really comes down to what feels right
Mhm.
and what we have inspiration for. So one of the benefits of making new IPs is that you do get to play around a lot more with the formula.
Mhm.
Like Alienation is sort of a semi-sequel to Dead Nation,
Mhm.
but again, a lot of different things in there. And you know, we started Dead Nation was 2-player co-op. Now we did 4-player co-op,
Right.
guns and everything. So I mean, that's kind of, we like to keep a little bit of a broader spectrum.
Mhm.
But something that, you know, personally, a Resogun 2, I don't know if we wanted to make any kind of other, you know, if we put a different name on it, how much of a difference can we make? Resogun 2 will probably be one of the easiest sequel. Not saying that we're going to do anything like that. That's
Right.
like just a personal opinion of how we could do something like that. So you never know. And the thing is about like the Super Stardust and Dead Nation PS4 versions, those weren't even made by us. And you know, Sony got an outside company, friends of ours, to kind of come in and do a lot of stuff, a lot of cool new things with the original game that we had.
Mhm.
So that might even happen that some people might, you know, Resogun 2 might not even be made by us. So you never know. I mean, these are always options. That's kind of where the board lays, is that
Mhm.
you know, Sony's a good partner, and they'll let us know if they really want something, and then we'll see.
Gotcha. Well, Brent, we need to make a note here. We need to get Sony on the horn and get the petition started for Resogun 2 by Housemarque.
Yes.
By Housemarque, right?
Yeah,
you know,
by
they own
Housemarque.
IP.
Yeah. Resogun is one of my top 5 games on the PlayStation 4. Just it's always a game I can fire up and play it at any given time. It's been addicted to that title for years.
Ask yourself this: is Resogun good that you want to go play that game, and then you want to have Housemarque do all kinds of new things that could be as cool as Resogun is right now, or do you want Resogun 2? See, that's always going to be the dilemma.
Yeah, that's the dilemma.
We can always make a sequel, or you know, either way. But so that's kind of what we battle internally with too. Is like we like creating new stuff too.
Mhm.
There's always something very, very fun about, you know, testing out new things.
Yeah, I selfishly love Resogun, but
Well,
yeah,
you'll always have Resogun.
yeah. So Resogun not going anywhere. So yeah, I'm game for whatever new you guys have to offer as well. We're also curious what you guys think about this iterative console model that we're seeing come out with things like the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. You guys have implemented Pro Support on several of your titles, Resogun, Nex Machina, namely. What's that experience been like? Is it as easy to work with the Pro or to upgrade the games for the Pro as Mark Cerny has talked about in the past?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that big of a job in the end. You have to do a lot of performance checks. So instead of checking that everything works on one console, you have to now double that work. But it's just one part of that job. It's not like you have to create a game from scratch to both platforms. You know, all those additions that you put in there, they might take some time, but that's what it is. It's a calculated kind of addition. I think Mark Cerny, you know, maybe he was estimating it from a certain perspective. If you're especially a Sony in-house company, you have a lot of good infrastructure to get those things done. And I think it's a pretty good system that you get maybe within a generation, you get 2 variations. It seems to work right now. Maybe in the future, it's going to be more than just 2 within a cycle. So maybe we'll start seeing more tech specs being pushed out. And I guess these are half generations or whatever we want to call them. But, you know, I got nothing really to complain from a developer perspective. And it's gearing to different fan bases too. So I think it's a win-win situation in the end. If you want to get more resolution and power out of your games, now you have that option instead of waiting for another 4 to 5 years. So I think in the end everybody wins, and it's definitely much easier than getting a whole new generation with different chip infrastructures and or everything like that. So it's quite easy.
from your perspective as a developer, or even what you might think as a consumer, do you think like the 2 consoles in a generation, do you think that's the magic number for a model like this?
You know, I just upgraded my PC. They're coming out with new crazier cards every year. I don't upgrade the graphics card every year, but I don't really know. It really depends on where the consumer needs are. So, like, if you started designing consoles like PCs, you'd probably get some new chipsets you put in there every year. But again, how many people will buy that? I think the market will sort of speak for itself, and then hopefully console manufacturers will be able to adjust to that. But if there's anything that we're seeing is that console and PC markets are alive and strong, really thriving and doing well. So I think that's again, everybody wins when there's more things to do and more business to be had.
Yeah, definitely. Michael, the last thing we wanted to ask you is about the future of Housemarque. What's the future look like for you guys? Can we expect, you guys to continue developing multiple projects in tandem moving forward? What's the 5-year vision for the studio down the line?
Man, it's a good one. I honestly think that we'll just keep on doing what we're doing. We're very glad and appreciative of the kind of momentum we got going, and then the feedback from the fans. We just want to keep that true and keep it strong. And as long as we're all making enough cash to keep the family eating, and everything's good. We're probably not going to take any crazy risks. You probably won't see like Pokemon Go from us anytime soon. But I still play that game, and it's pretty fun. But in the end, we just want to keep on doing what we're doing, and hopefully more people will find that that's a pretty cool thing, and then come to play our games, and we can grow that community. And if we can keep on doing that, and I think that's a pretty good goal.
Awesome. Absolutely. Well, Michael, thank you so much for your time. It's been an honor and a privilege to talk Housemarque games with you. Best of luck in the future, and we can't wait to play Matterfall next week. You can bet we'll be streaming it and getting a review up. But make sure you follow Michael on Twitter @mbase. And Michael, thank you again. We really appreciate your time, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Michael.
Take care, man.
Take care.
Thanks again to Mikael Haveri from Housemarque Games. It's always just really cool to get somebody on from the industry to talk video games with us. Obviously, as I mentioned, we're not journalists. We're all just gamers, and we can only see what we read in the press. But when you have somebody on from the industry that kind of gives you a look at the things that are going on behind the scenes and everything that goes into making video games, it really kind of gives you a better understanding of why certain things aren't happening and why certain things do happen. So we really appreciate Michael taking the time out of his busy schedule. We wish you guys the best of luck with Matterfall. We can't wait to play it. We'll all be streaming it and playing it this week, so it's going to be pretty exciting. We're all Housemarque fans here. So we hope you enjoyed that interview. If you got any questions about it, or if you have any suggestions going forward, please hit us up, podcast@shortpause.com. We always want to hear from you. We're going to try to get more people on to talk about the video game industry, people from within the video game industry. So that's why we do that. But we're going to take a quick break. We've got some music here from Ruel Ethan, and we'll be back with the news. Welcome back. Thanks again to Ruel Ethan for producing the music for this podcast. He does the opening, the closing, and the music you just heard. Very talented young man. We really appreciate his efforts. He's always kicking out new tunes for us. Follow him on Twitter at Ruel Ethan. Look up his music on SoundCloud and iTunes. All right, guys, let's jump into the news. First up, we got some concerns here. Tales from the Borderlands, the Telltale series, was apparently a failure. And not only a failure, like in terms of sales, but the intentions by the studio with this game. In an excellent oral history of the series in the Campo Santo Quarterly, various members of the team behind the spinoff cover the fact that main characters, is it Reese and Fiona, were designed to be reused in the main shooter series. This is from Adam Sarasone. I'm assuming that's his name. This is the producer. The hope was, with Fiona and Reese, we wanted to essentially hand back to Gearbox fully fleshed out heroic characters that they could use in Borderlands 3 and beyond. Even Fiona voice actress Laura Bailey seems to have been one of the few who didn't even know that this was the plan. This is what she had to say, quote, "I had no idea. I would have been more nervous had I known it could lead to potential future games as well." Despite the deep critical success, writer Nick Herman explains that sales weren't great by the end of its run, and that internally it was perceived as a failure. Thus, development had to be wrapped up quickly so that any staff involved with the Borderlands spinoff could move on to help with more financially viable work. Herman adds, quote, "About halfway through, we made a deal with the studio that if they let us go on, we would give up like 95% of our staff as long as they let us maintain a skeleton crew. We had at least one person from the development working on the game, but that's a very small team for an episode." Frankie, now you played through this the Borderlands games, correct?
Yeah.
How disappointing is that? I mean, not only is this game was perceived as a failure financially, but the overall spectrum of what they were kind of hoping that this game would springboard to sounds like it's a lost cause.
That sucks. I enjoyed this game a lot. The characters are great. As cool as Reese and Fiona were, Loaderbot is definitely the star of that game. Actually, I'd say Loaderbot and Gortys, but still, I mean, I felt the characters are pretty strong. I don't know what you would do with them in a main Borderlands game. I don't think they're characters that would necessarily be fun to play as. I don't know if they'd be there as like more of like a leader role or something, but yeah, I would have been interested to see them kind of resurface in Borderlands 3 or somewhere in the Borderlands universe.
Mm-hmm.
This is a bummer though that it failed financially. I think that's one of their better series that they've put out. But like learning this now, that kind of explains why the release schedule was the way that it was, because this is another game that suffered heavily from, kind of a delayed release schedule. So that's kind of telling now that we know why would happen. But yeah, that's overall a huge bummer, because I love Tales from Borderlands. It's awesome.
And it is surprising considering the success of the Borderlands series, like the base games. I mean, those are highly popular games. And Telltale Games is a very popular studio that have kicked out a lot of great series. For this to be a failure is kind of shocking to me. But now, did this game, I wonder if this was a failure, like it must have been a failure before they broke up the teams, which obviously made the release slate kind of a mess. So was this like a failure right out of the gate, you think?
Yeah, I think so. Because this is another one that I think after episode 1 was pretty frequently on sale, which pissed me off because I had shelled out the $25 for the season pass.
Mm-hmm.
And, to have before episode 2's out, the game's already $15. So seeing stuff like that kind of puts into perspective how that game is doing out the gate. Mm-hmm. So I'm not totally surprised, but still, that sucks.
And it sounds like that speaks to how much the development team loved this series, loved this game, the story they created. If they're like, hey, look, we'll give you everybody, just let a couple of us stay back and finish this thing. I mean, that's how much they loved this series, and how much it speaks volumes to how much like blood, sweat, and tears they put into it. And it's a shame that it didn't sell well. And it sounds like they had these lofty goals with these characters. They're like, hey, look, we've fleshed out these characters, put them in Borderlands 3. And I mean, hopefully Gearbox is able to, like, maybe not as main characters, but make them as like NPCs that you bump in along the way. Or maybe like, certain plot points, one or both of them will show up to kind of like set you on your way to the next stage of the story. But No, that's really, really a bummer. Bender, did you play any of Borderlands Telltale or no?
No, it's probably the next Telltale game I'll do, because that's another one that Frankie has recommended to me to check out. So I'll definitely try that one out.
Man, that's too bad. Yeah, I never played it, but I know it reviewed very well, like they mentioned, and Frankie he waxes on poetically about it. So no, that's a shame. It didn't do well, and these lofty goals that they had planned don't appear to pan out. So,
Brent, I have to wonder, hearing the way that they're talking about this, do you think they would have just flat out stopped? Could they seriously just flat out stop development on this game? Could they have done that?
Man, that's a good question, because people are buying season passes for it.
Yeah.
So unless I don't think they could have. They'd have to sit there and refund everybody. It's not like this is a Kickstarter thing where it's like, oh well, we didn't make enough. Sorry, we're not making the game. This is different. So for them to sit there and say, no, we had to give up 95% of our staff as long as they let us maintain a skeleton crew. Would they really just say, no, sorry, you guys can't make any more episodes. It's done after episode 2.
Yeah, that's what they're kind of alluding to. Like that was a possibility at one point.
Man, that would have been disastrous.
Yeah, that would have been sucks knowing that that's the thing.
If that's what Telltale was coming to this, with this particular studio, but I would be shocked.
Yeah,
man, that's a good point, Frankie. Wow, I never thought about that.
I'm glad they got to finish it, at least.
Yeah, thank God they got to finish it. Like you said, it sounds like it's an excellent series and an excellent game, but man, rough development cycle there. Speaking of rough, LawBreakers is off to a rocky start. And I hate saying this, but peak players dropped faster than Battleborn, Frankie. In this report that comes out, they make many references to Battleborn. I was like, man, Frankie probably did not like this article. But despite getting decent reviews, the gravity-bending first-person shooter LawBreakers is struggling to keep an active player base just days after release. It failed to launch within the top 100 games on Steam. And even Battleborn had higher player numbers at this point in its life. According to
Say that more disappointingly, please.
Hey man, I'm just going based off the numbers they're giving here. And to make matters worse, the final release for LawBreakers saw a whopping 60% reduction over its initial beta player count. Launch night saw only a peak. This is launch night. Only saw a peak of 3,000 players, which is pretty bad when compared to Battleborn's 12,000 players. There's just a lot of comparisons with Battleborn here. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it was just a rough start either, as since then, the numbers have only gone down. Daily lows are already dropping to below 1,000 players, and the peaks are going down as the days go by. Tuesday, the day after launch, saw a reduction of 300 people, giving a peak of only 2,700 players. Well, Cliff Bleszinski came out. He's obviously the head of Boss Key Productions. He came out and made a comment to this, quote, "It's a marathon, not a sprint. I'd rather be the underhyped game that slowly ramps up into something that people adore than something that comes out with way too much hype and there's a backlash for, which is why I think the Steam reviews are so positive. It's one of those things. We're not doing the traditional pop of what AAA is. We're feeling out this new space, much like Hellblade is, for what, for a lack of better term, is AA. That flash-in-the-pan pop, to be frank, comes from those traditional publicly based publisher companies that are addicted to their earnings on Wall Street, and that works for many of them, for your Activisions and EAs. But we're trying to forge a new model here, which is the tortoise versus the hare." Now, obviously, we've seen games do well like that. Rainbow Six Siege is another prime example. Kind of started off slow, and it looked like it was headed to an early grave, but here we are now, 20 million strong. And Siege is getting another bunch of content at the end of the month. So that's what Cliff Bleszinski's hoping that'll happen here. And Frankie, you and I jumped into LawBreakers the other night. We streamed it for an hour. And I think we both came away pretty impressed with what we played. It's a really fun game.
Yep. Really is.
Yeah. And, it doesn't have its, it's not without its faults. We talked about how there's no in-game tutorial, which I think is essential. Obviously, the PC version has an in-game tutorial, but the console versions don't. But you can look them up on YouTube for individual tutorials. Nobody wants to do that. There should be an in-game tutorial. Hopefully they're able to port that over from PC, because this is a game where you need to know the classes. Each class plays considerably different than the other. You know, it's not a game you can just jump through and be like, oh, I'm going to be this guy and know what the hell you're doing. You're not. Each class has a different role. Each class plays differently. Not having a tutorial is kind of a bummer.
It's a team like objective game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not in there just playing team deathmatch. So it's a game where kind of understanding how the characters play a role on the team is really important.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a brand new player hopping in there, you're going to spend a match or two just messing around with a character's like abilities and still probably not fully understanding what they do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I would like to see some kind of tutorial. I know if you hold a button, like you'll get a brief description of what everything is and what everything does, but like I'd still think like at least like a video tutorial or something in there that introduces like each class and what their abilities do, and you know, like what their role is in combat, I think would go a long way with this game.
And that whole press the button to see what your class does, like press down or whatever it is, you literally it pops up in the middle of a match.
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, check and read this about your character. Well, I kind of want to spawn and get in there and help my team, so I don't want to sit here and read through all these classes. Mm-hmm. You know, you're in a timed lobby where you have like 10 seconds to respawn. You're going to try to read the description for a character. It's not an ideal spot to have that. There's a customization screen where you can look at all the different classes. Just put the description in there. Real simple. Hit this button, pull up the description. Now I know how to play as the Enforcer. I want to know how to play as the damn Assassin. Because as Frankie and I were playing it, we got wrecked multiple times by the Assassin. The Assassin class, just a nightmare to deal with on the field. With the exception of that, I thought the game was really, really fun to play. The modes are awesome. Like you said, they're objective-based. Blitzball is intense.
Yeah.
That game is fantastic. That's basically a ball drops in the middle of the battlefield. You got to pick it up and run it to their goal. The first team to 8 wins. And it's not as quick as you'd think, scoring. It's a struggle. It's a tug of war. It's back and forth. You got to be very strategic in what you're going to do with the ball when you get it and how you're going to make your way for the goal. But, I mean, in terms of like presentation, I mean, awesome soundtrack, which is available now. Yep. Frankie, we talked about that on the stream. But the gameplay is there. I mean, it's really, really fun to play.
Yeah. Smooth, too. 60
very
frames.
Smooth.
Oof.
Very, very smooth. So go over to our YouTube channel, Short Pause Gaming. Check out our video of LawBreakers. It's actually a really fun game. Despite what the sales have indicated so far, it's a really, really fun game with a lot of depth to the modes as well.
Shout out to was it Charizard that was
yes.
giving us some pointers in the chat.
Yes,
that was great. I didn't know how to shoot behind me, so learned how to do that from the chat. So thank you, Charizard. Yeah,
Charizard came in clutch. He tried also walking me through gunslinger class because I was just abysmal with it. But he's like, "Hey, use this to charge the gun." He was a couch critic for sure, but he helped us out. He did really, really good. So thank you, Charizard. We appreciate you. Moving on, Frankie. So we got some new collectible card games announced from 2 very popular franchises. The first one, Bender, man. On Twitter, it popped up. Valve is announcing a new game, and Bender flipped his shit. He thought it was Portal 3. It was Portal 3.
There's a roller coaster of emotions in the span of like a couple of minutes. I blame Mitch Dyer because like he put out a tweet. That was the first thing I saw. Is his tweet? It just said "new Valve game" like in all caps, and like the only Valve property I care about is Portal, and Portal 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. So all I want right now is another Portal game. So that's like the first place my mind went to, and then like like a minute later I see that it's just a collectible card game. I was like, oh,
hey, it's Artifact. It's a Dota 2 card game. Yay! Artifact differs from traditional card games in that it involves 3 boards. While Valve didn't share too many details about the game, it appears to feature a number of elements from the studio's popular MOBA, including creeps. Creeps? I'm in a MOBA? I didn't know that. Barrack building and multi-lane strategies. Naturally, a selection of characters from Dota 2 will be featured as well. So a card game from Valve regarding about Dota 2 crushed the hopes and dreams of many a gamer earlier this week. The other card game we're getting is Hi-Rez Studios announces Hand of the Gods Smite Tactics. Okay, so
It's a
have you
great name.
never? I got Hand of the Gods. Have you never heard of Hand of the Gods? It's the perfect blend of turn-based strategy and collectible card game. We've been called, I do like this. We've been called, quote, Hearthstone and XCOM combined by PC Games End. That's what they called this game. That's what they used to describe it. But the whole is much more than the sum of its parts. In Hand of the Gods, it's not just about what cards you play, it's about where you play them and how you can outmaneuver and outplay your opponents with tactical brilliance. You'll build your army from one of 6 mythological pantheons, featuring the characters you know and love from the hit MOBA Smite. Lead your forces into battle as Zeus, the Greek god of the sky, Ra, the Egyptian sun god, Odin, the Norse allfather, and other amazing deities of myth. Now you'll truly command the gods on the battleground of the gods. Anybody know what the hell Smite is? I've never even played it.
It's a MOBA.
Better, you were about to perk up. You play Smite?
No, I've heard of it. It's like Frankie said. I think it's a free to play
Yeah.
MOBA.
Oh, okay.
It's been on Xbox and PS4, I think.
Yeah. I have a friend who's obsessed with that game, and I
Really?
don't understand it. Yeah, he has an Elite controller, so he has a lot of different things. Like he's saying, like
he's
that's
using the
like the
paddles on
game
the
for the
back.
Elite controller
Mm-hmm.
because he has all these different things like tied to the paddles.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. It sounds too complicated for me.
Well, you got two new card games coming, Frankie. After you beat Hearthstone and you beat Elder Scrolls Legends, you can play Artifact, or you can play Hand of the Gods, Smite Tactics. That one actually sounds pretty cool with the way that you play the cards on the board, like XCOM style. That's actually sounds pretty interesting. That is one where I might take a peek at it.
Yeah. But I gotta ask you, man, is there something to like the collectible card game genre that we just don't fully understand? It seems like a lot of popular franchises have card games. You got The Witcher, Fable hopping in on that. I think there's an Uncharted card game. Fable or Uncharted Fortune something.
I think there was. I think
that's more like a Hitman Go, Lara Croft Go type of game.
Really?
Uncharted Quest for Fortune? Yeah.
Yeah, that one. That's
it's
what
like
that
a puzzle
is?
game.
Yes, it is. I do remember that game now.
It's
Yes.
actually pretty good.
It actually
buy
was
that.
pretty good. Yeah, it's on the iPhone.
That sounds like something
Yeah.
I would like. But
Yeah, it actually is pretty good.
yeah,
But,
I mean, like, yeah, we got obviously Elder Scrolls Legends. I saw someone on Twitter, like there's a fan Destiny Hearthstone set. So I if they made Destiny into a collectible card game, does that change anyone's interest in playing one of those?
Yeah, I think the source material comes into play. I mean, obviously Elder Scrolls, I love Skyrim, so that made it easy to jump into Elder Scrolls Legends. I'm not a big fan of Warcraft. I played a little bit of it, and so obviously Hearthstone doesn't really, pique my interest. But if they made something like a Destiny card game, yeah, I'd probably jump into that. I guess it just depends on the source material that what gets me into it. But I do, when I play Elder Scrolls Legends and I do start to see the depth and the strategy that goes into card games, I can see why people love this stuff. But I just still think it's different than what most people want from a video game, which is like a quick fix, some quick action, a lot of excitement, boom, boom, boom. Card games are exciting, but in a different way. It's exciting for the people that like to think about their moves, thinking 3 steps ahead. It's different than just jumping into Call of Duty or Battlefield and just running around shooting stuff. So I think it is. I do see the appeal of it, but for myself, it's the source material that's going to decide whether or not I'm going to jump into it or not. Elder Scrolls, yes. Warcraft, no interest. Hearthstone, just no interest naturally.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's actually a good point. I didn't really think about that. Just the other thing too is I noticed like games like you mentioned Warcraft, Dota. Those games are already really deep and hard to understand. So I assume people who are playing those card games, like that's the audience you want to go after anyways. So it's the people who are going to want to invest the time in that. So
yeah, there's just card games are just a different monster altogether. But there is an audience there, man. Especially if it's free to play for certain. Some of those games are free to play. Oh hell yeah! I mean that's an appeal for a lot of gamers. So why not jump into it and learn it? When you do learn it though, based on what I've seen, I can see how it could be really really fun to like master a card game like that. It's probably a lot more excitement than what I know about it right now. So
yeah,
but yeah, no, it's card games are here to stay, man. There's plenty of them coming. So Let's jump into some release date announcements. First up, Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition is dropping on September 26th. Oh,
Finally.
another reminder of a game that I should have played, and I still will play, damn it. Included in Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition, all of the additional content and updates, as well as the full game. All 6 add-ons are included, namely the story expansions, Automatron, Far Harbor, and Nuke World, and smaller DLCs like the Wasteland Workshop, Contraptions Workshop, and Vault-Tec Workshop. This will be available for $59.99 on September 26th. Also available, a limited stock of the Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition Pip-Boy Collector's Edition in North America for $99.99. Frankie, did you grab a Pip-Boy edition?
Yeah, dude, wasn't it $19.99 when it initially launched?
It was over $100. I do know that.
Could have waited and got all the DLC and a Pip-Boy
for $20 less, man. But no,
Figures.
that's cool. I like the box art for the Game of the Year edition though. Looks pretty snazzy. I do like that.
I'm wondering if that's all on disc or if you get a voucher. Because if it's on disc, I'm probably gonna buy it.
Yeah, that's actually something I was curious about. It would be nice to have that all on the disc as opposed to have to download it because there is a lot to download.
Yeah,
there's a lot to download for that game. So that's pretty sweet. Also coming out in September, Dishonored: Death of the Outsider will be launching on September 15th. This is the standalone adventure. Death of the Outsider promises to show a new side to Karnica, infiltrating underground fight clubs, encountering mysterious cults, and even pulling off daring bank heist in your journey to dispatch of the Black-Eyed Bastard. Yeah, the Black-Eyed Bastard. He sounds like a bastard.
Yeah, when I think about playing Dishonored, I too think about bank heists.
Yeah, I don't understand why a bank heist is in this game, but hey, with the stealth elements, why not? I can see how that would make sense.
Yeah.
Playing as Billy, you'll have access to a new set of supernatural abilities, new weapons, and powerful gear, enabling you to play through each level in whatever playstyle you like, which is basically Dishonored through and through. Frankie, any interest in picking up the Death of the Outsider?
Yeah, I still like to go back and actually play through Dishonored 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a shame game for me. I feel like at this point too, I should probably just go back and play the first Dishonored again.
Sure.
I have that definitive edition, so I never played the DLC for the first game, so I would like to do that. So I might as well just play through the first game again, anyways.
You might as well. It's really good.
Yeah, maybe learn how to not go through and kill everybody. So
clean hands, baby. It's the best way to play it. I'm going to have to go back to Dishonored 2. I'm still pissed about that glitch that ruined my playthrough, where it would just constantly, the target would die, like halfway across the map, and I would get credited the kill, and it didn't matter if I went back 2 saves, 3 saves, the same thing happened. So, and that pisses me off because I was pretty far into the game, and I think I was playing on like hard difficulty. I wasn't playing on like the base normal. And that really irked me. So I just stopped playing because I was so pissed. I want the clean hands trophy. I don't want to kill. And I think the only way I'm going to get that is I could probably fire it up to see if maybe it was patched. And if it kills, I'm just going to have to delete the save and start over. But I want to play through Dishonored 2. I mean, I love the first game, and I don't want to hold a grudge against Dishonored 2 for that long. I should play through. I feel bad that it didn't sell well. But from what I played up to that point, it was a fantastic Dishonored game.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Also coming out this year, Dragon Dogma's Dark Arisen launches October 3rd on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. The remaster of the 2012 action RPG boasts improved high-resolution visuals. The revamped version of Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen enables you to enjoy the game's deep combat and open exploration as you choose from 9 different classes before embarking upon your adventure with 3 AI companions called Pawns. These pawns fight for you independently, growing alongside your hero, and can be shared and borrowed online for treasures, tips, and other valuables. Frankie, did you ever play Dragon's Dogma? Ugh.
Have always had an interest in it. I have a coworker who was obsessed with this game.
Mm-hmm.
So he constantly kept trying to talk me into playing it, but I think he had it on 360, and at the time I didn't have a 360. So yeah, this is a game that I've always heard great things about, so I actually am really considering picking up this remaster when it comes out. Although October 3rd is Battle Chasers, so I don't know.
Yeah, this is going to become a problem with this fall. There's a lot of games coming out. A lot of games. Bender, any interest in Dragon's Dogma?
I don't really know what it is. I've heard the name, but not too familiar with it.
What do you think, Frankie? Is that a Bender joint, or do you think it's maybe a little just over the threshold?
Maybe, I don't know. I know it's a very challenging game. I don't know how Bender likes his challenge.
Challenging, but not too challenging.
I know one of the things my buddy always told me about was there is a ridiculous difficulty curve at some point in the game. So maybe not a Bender joint, but maybe.
Possibly. Also coming out this year, Raid World War II launches on October 10th, a week later. Now, this is the 4-player cooperative game from Starbreeze, the guys that made Payday 2. It takes place during World War II, and John Cleese voices the main character of the game, which is crazy because this is a first-person shooter, and I just don't envision John Cleese doing a character of this style. But now, I don't know about you, Frankie. I watched some gameplay trailer or gameplay video of this. This game, visually speaking, does not look too good to me.
No.
It looks like it might be lacking a little bit. They're using the same engine as Payday 2. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Payday 2, Payday series in general, is an awesome concept. But compared to other first-person shooters, I never really felt the controls of Payday. They felt way too loose. They didn't feel accurate. And I don't know if that was by design or whatnot, but I didn't really care for the controls, which was a damn shame because I loved the premise of the game. Everything else about the game was awesome, but the controls were just kind of like, they were loose. They didn't feel tight. I didn't feel like where they needed to be for a first-person shooter. Now, this is based on the same engine, and based on what I saw in the trailer, this looks like the same type of gameplay, but in a World War II setting. But there's a lot of cool stuff going on with this game as well, dude. So I'm not really sure where I sit with Raid World War II.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I had the same type of problems with Payday and Payday 2. Just like you said, playing that game, there's just something about the controls that feel off. And Payday 2 has a lot of really intense situations. So the controls kind of ruined that game for me, so I didn't play a whole lot of it. This one, I think this one has like Nazis in it, or not Nazis, but zombies, right?
I think it's just Nazis from what I saw.
Just
This looks like Nazis, yeah.
That works. All right, we'll mow down some Nazis, but yeah, I don't know. I would maybe want to play a demo or something. Maybe if they do a beta, I would want to check this out before committing to it.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we saw gameplay was a while back. I mean, we got a trailer this week, but it was just a cinematic trailer, so we didn't get to see a whole lot of gameplay. But we didn't even get to hear John Cleese talk. I was kind of hoping, okay, John Cleese is one of these characters. Can we at least hear him talk? He doesn't talk in the trailer. It's like, damn it, is John Cleese really in this game or not? So
that's a fair question.
Just does the opening narration and that's it. I don't know where he's at in this game, but now this could be cool. I mean, like I said, the Payday series is an awesome concept, and playing with friends is it's fun. I just feel like the controls could have been a little bit up to snuff with other first-person shooters. And the last bit of release date news is Axiom Verge is coming to the Switch on October 17th. Axiom Verge is a freaking awesome game, and it's going to do very, very well on the Switch if you haven't played it everywhere else that it's already been released.
Awesome. I'm glad that thing's coming to the Switch.
Yep.
I know it got announced, but it's cool to have a date.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's the worst possible date, but if you're only a Switch player, that's only 10 days before Mario Odyssey, so that's doable.
Yeah. You can get through it. You can get through that in 10 days. Bender, did you ever play Axiom Verge?
I played it for a couple hours. I really liked what I played. Never went back to it, but you know, I did enjoy from what I did play.
What system did you play it on?
What did I play it on? I must have played it on PS4. I think it was I think when it came out on PS4, I picked it up.
Yeah,
Okay.
It was part of a promotion when it came out.
Was it one of those like play promotion or something like that?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, if you're one of the few people that haven't played this game yet and you have a Switch, you should just get it. It's an awesome game on the Switch. It has one of the better soundtracks we've heard this generation. So, really, really, really good soundtrack. So that's it for the release date news. Frankie, let's get into some PlayStation stories. What's going on in the world of PlayStation, buddy?
Well, Brent, Horizon Zero Dawn: The Frozen Wilds, we finally got a release date for the DLC. November 7th. which a lot later than I was anticipating. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to hopping in there. Bender, I know you've also finished Horizon. Did you pre-order this as well? Are you looking forward to hopping into more Horizon?
Oh yeah, definitely. I loved Horizon. Apart from Zelda, I think it's my favorite game of the year. It was great. It had a great story. Cool characters. I love the combat. Everything about it was excellent. So I'm anxious to jump back into that world and see what Aloy's up to. So it's a really cool game, and yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to playing some more of it.
Yeah, same here, Brent. I know you haven't finished Horizon yet, but this DLC trailer, man, this looked awesome.
It really does.
One of the things at E3 that it gave me that kick in the ass to jump into that game and finally play through it. But where are you at on this? I mean, the release date's kind of tough. There's a lot of stuff around there. Obviously, the One X and Crackdown 3 launched that day as well. It's right before Star Wars Battlefront, right on there with Call of Duty. Where are you at with this? Is this bad timing for you? Are you still interested in getting through Horizon and hopping into this year?
Yeah, I'm really my focus is to get through Horizon first. This DLC looks awesome. I don't know what it is, and I don't know how you guys feel about like seasonal stuff, but I love winter settings in games. Like I love the depiction of winter in some games. Some games just do it very well. Horizon does it very well. I mean, some of the areas you see in the snowier areas off in the distance, I'm just like, I want to go over there. It looks really, really nice over there. Skyrim had some awesome like winter settings. There's just something about the depiction of winter in some games. This looks awesome. This looks fantastic. This looks really, really good. So as much as I'd like to play it when it drops, obviously there's going to be a lot going on that, on November 7th and around it. But this is probably something, if I can get through Horizon, at some point this year, before the end of the year, I wouldn't mind jumping into Frozen Wilds in 2018 and something like early 2018 to get through that.
Right, gotcha. Just a quick note, for those of you looking to pre-order this, you do need the original game to play it. This isn't a standalone expansion, so don't trade in that disc just yet if you bought it physically. Otherwise, make sure you have Zero Dawn installed on your hard drive when you go to launch this game. So that'll be exciting, man. I'm looking forward to hopping in there November 7th. I know I cracked down that day as well, but damn it, I want to play more Horizon. All right, guys. Next up on this list, this game actually sounds really cool. Megaton Rainfall was announced, coming out on September 26th, and this is if there was ever a game just created for boys, this is it. This is a first-person superhero game, so it sounds to me like you kind of are Superman essentially. So you're flying around in the world, and it looks like you get these superpowers. Now, there of course is with anything there's a big catch with these superpowers, so you're fighting these giant mothership aliens, and you have all these cool like projectile attacks and whatnot, but if you miss your target, you are going to start destroying the city.
Oh boy.
It's not what good superheroes do, let me tell you. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys got a chance to check out the trailer for this game, but this looks like it's going to be absolutely disorienting in VR. But yeah, so this looks like I said, it has VR support, so that'll be launching on September 26th. So if you're a fan of superhero games, or if you're just Ben Boyce, just pick this game up. I'm sure it'll be great.
I actually played, what was that game by Ubisoft? Flight or...
Eagle Flight?
Eagle Flight. I actually played a little bit of that. Now, obviously, I don't know how much faster you're going in this game, but, you were kind of in the same perspective. You're looking around as you're flying through, like, the city and whatnot. And I actually held up pretty good through that game.
Yeah.
The sense of speed wasn't too fast. Now I don't know how quickly this game is going to move, but in Eagle Flight, it wasn't super fast, but it felt pretty good. Like I didn't have any issues with it. Now if I were flying it like breaking the sound barrier, I'd probably throw up all over the place. But it's just an eagle kind of floating around, so it wasn't too bad. But I'll be curious to see how this one works out.
Yeah, they have some GIFs up on the PlayStation blog for this, and it doesn't look too fast paced, like you're not flying at supersonic speed or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. I'm gonna be interested to see how this one pans out. It's playable on just on the as a base experience out of VR as well. So
okay,
if VR doesn't work out for you, you don't have to play the game in VR at least. So all right, guys. Next up on the list, Gundam Versus is going to be running an open beta. I believe it'll be starting at the end of this month. You'll be able to preload the game at the end of the month. The beta will be running from September 2nd through September 4th. So you'll be able to preload the game on August 29th. The beta will include the player match, casual 1v1, 2v2, and 3v3 matches, as well as online and offline ultimate battle mode. So the game itself will be launching on September 29th on the PS4. So if you're interested in checking out what Gundam Versus has to offer, make sure you look out for the open beta. Next up, guys, Gran Turismo Sport won't have microtransactions, which, seems to be a pretty hot topic nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
People seem very angry about microtransactions in their $60 games. So Gran Turismo Sport will not have them. They will have new cars and new tracks as premium DLC, but got to worry about tires, paint, any microtransaction-y things. Lastly, guys, we got a little bit of news about PlayStation 4 firmware 5.0, and man, I tell you, coming off of some of their prior updates, this is kind of underwhelming.
Yeah.
So the main thing that we're hearing about right now is that it will allow PlayStation 4 Pro owners to stream on Twitch at 1080-60. I believe they're kind of waiting on Twitch to have the implementation completed before the update launches. So that might be one of the holdups to it. Other things that are included in the update so far that we know about: an overhaul of the console's master and sub account system, the ability to follow any user, which I thought you could already do, and the addition of notifications to the PS4's quick menu. So that's all we know about it right now. Obviously, hopefully this isn't the complete list, but coming off of updates that have added things like boost mode, and obviously I think we've had 1080-60 as a streaming option is it YouTube that offers that right now?
Yeah, it's already on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. So far, sounds pretty underwhelming, especially for a 5.0 update, So
right.
I don't know if maybe as the update starts rolling out, we'll start digging up some more stuff. But for now, that's what we have on 5.0.
Yeah, it sounds like a whole lot of meh.
Indeed.
Well, thank you, Mr. Taylor. Appreciate you going through all those. Let's jump into some Nintendo news. First up, Super Meat Boy has been announced for the Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
Which means many Nintendo Switches are about to die a horrible death if you play that game in handheld mode. A lot of rage-induced destruction will happen to your Switch. Because Super Meat Boy is not an easy game. But, Frankie, how do you think that'll look on the Switch, man? Think that's a good spot for it?
Yeah. I don't think it's a demanding game to run, so yeah.
Yeah, I've played that game, and it can ruin your day really quick if you don't bring your A game. And I don't know if I'd want to have that thing in handheld mode with my temper. That thing might be looking for a new Switch after the release. That when does that come out? Do we have a date on that, Frankie?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Nope. They are teasing partnering with Nicalis for a physical release. So.
Oh, are they now?
Mm-hmm. That'd be great. I think Edmund I don't know what that guy's name. Edmund McMillan, is that him? There's Tommy Rafines, and I think it's Edmund or Edward something. The other half of Team Meat, though, he is involved with Nicalis. So. Oh,
okay. Well, that makes sense why they're going that route. Bender, any interest in Super Meat Boy?
Yeah, definitely. I've played that game a little bit on PS4, I believe. Yeah, it's super hard, but it's really cool. I mean, the controls are really good. If you screw up, it's your own fault. It's one of those games where you can't blame it on the game. It's really cool, really fast paced. It's very you have to get it just right to get a good time. Finish the level and all that stuff. So yeah, Super Meat Boy is a lot of fun.
That's where I'm going to be really curious to see how the Joy-Cons work in that situation. Like I said, I like playing with the Joy-Cons. I don't have any issue with them, except when it requires like precise aiming or movements. But I go over to the Pro, it's seriously a night and day difference. The amount of range you have with those sticks as opposed to the Joy-Cons. I'll be curious to see how Super Meat Boy plays in handheld mode with those Joy-Cons, because you have to be very precise with your movements and very quick, and there's not very much room for error. So I'll be really curious to see how that works on the Switch. Maybe we'll get Boyce to stream that. Well, not if he's in handheld mode. We'll just have him record his voice as he gets super pissed, and we'll just play it throughout that podcast that week.
It would just funny to have a camera pointed at him while he's playing it in handheld mode, just to wait for the system to come flying at the camera.
And then you wouldn't be able to tell if he's Super Meat Boy because his face will be super red. I think it'd be pretty sweet. Pure rage. Moving on from Super Meat Boy, ARMS update has been released that rebalances roster and adds training exercises. Update 2.1 will feature will balance adjustments for ARMS roster of playable characters as well as their weapons. For example, Master Mummy's dash speed and movement speed while jumping have been increased, and the Homie has been tweaked to cause more rush damage. That's like the best name ever for a character, the Homie.
Is that your favorite character?
It probably is, yeah. I don't know. I haven't played it in a while. Whoops. In addition to rebalancing the roster, the update adds 5 new exercises to training and indicators designating the difficulty. Adjustments to the rush gauge and fighter hitbox sizes, as well as added instructions at the start of 3 to 4 player battle, are also featured in this update. So they're still continuing to update this game. You know, from what I had played, I really did enjoy it. I thought it was a pretty cool game. Like, the combat was nice. And I love the lobby system in that game. Like, it's really cool. You jump into a lobby with, say, 10 people, okay? And there's like 4 different game modes that you can play. I'm going to try to do math here. The first mode is like a 2-on-2 volleyball game. So there's 4 people that get put into that bubble. And then there's a couple other matches going on with anywhere from like 1-to-1, 1v1 or 3-on-3. And everyone gets put into different matches. And then when the match ends, everyone goes back to the lobby. And then it puts people into new matches against different people from the same 10. It's a pretty cool system how it works. You just stay in the same lobby, and it just bounces you around to different game modes against different people in that lobby. It's a pretty cool concept. It works really well. So ARMS continuing to get updated, continuing to be improved upon. I might have to jump back in and check that out, dude, because I really did like that game. Moving along, game modes are not locked behind amiibos or amiibo for Samus Returns. There was a lot of talk, a lot of speculation about what the amiibo would be unlocking. You know, would you be able to play hard mode, or do you have to have the amiibo to get it? Nintendo has revealed amiibo are not required to access the hard mode in Metroid Samus Returns. Metroid amiibo functionality in the upcoming 3DS title, we learned hard mode is accessible to all players after they complete the game for the first time. However, Nintendo explained while Fusion mode does require access to the Metroid amiibo, it is not the same as hard mode. Instead, Fusion mode is an additional level of difficulty on top of hard mode, and it is recommended that players give hard mode a try first before taking on the challenge. So hard mode is a part of the game. You have to beat the game in order to access it. But if you want Fusion mode, which is above hard mode, then yes, you have to have an amiibo that unlocks it.
Also, it unlocks her cool fusion suit from Metroid Fusion.
Oh, so there's another perk of picking it up. Which amiibo is that?
It's the new Samus amiibo that they're coming out for that game.
Is that the one that's only in the double pack with the Metroid?
With the Metroid, yeah, the squishy Metroid
one. Yeah, I want that
squishy Metroid. Squishy. Up next, are we getting close to seeing a GameCube games on the Nintendo Switch? GameCube listings on Nintendo of Europe's regional website would suggest so. When looking at the broad games category, you get a large list of titles, mainly current-gen games. In the default view, however, 4 semi-complete GameCube game listings appear on the first page. Naturally, this has some dreaming of a Switch Virtual Console announcement being around the corner. These 4 games that show up on this list are The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Tony Hawk's Underground 2, Dawson the Giant, and Sonic Adventures DX, the Director's Cut. So, what do you think, Frankie? I mean, are we going to get a Virtual Console announcement here pretty soon, man? I mean, these games just pop up on this list.
I mean, Gamescom is around the corner, and I mean, I know Nintendo isn't going to do a conference, but we could get a surprise direct soon. It's possible, right?
What do you think, Bender?
I hope so, but I hope those aren't the first 4 games they're going to come out for.
What's wrong with Sonic Adventure DX?
No. Those are weak selections. They can do much, much better.
I wish Ben was here to offer up his negative opinion of this and just say, no, it's never coming out, but he's not here.
It's never coming out.
Frankie helped out. Thanks, Frankie. I appreciate that. But no, it's interesting that those games pop up on there. I mean, everyone's clamoring for this virtual console. Nintendo knows that, dude. It's got to be close, right? It's got to be close.
I mean, at least we know they're working on it, right? There's no way that they are just being like, yeah, good for you, virtual console. Yeah, whatever. They're working on it. They have to be.
They got to be.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're working on the chat system first, but I digress. Not going to get into that. Also going on in the world of Nintendo, Zen Studios' Infinite Mini Golf has disappeared from the eShop due to a ratings issue. Zen Studios was quick to tweet this out. Quote, Infinite Mini Golf had a change in ESRB rating and was removed temporarily from the eShop. We are patching the game. It will be back ASAP. Now, I can't help but wonder if this is something to do with the courses that people make. Maybe there was something in the courses. You know, you got a lot of freedom in these courses. And there are some really crappy courses. I played a course called Bleh.
Yeah.
Bleh. And all it was just you hit the ball straight and it just goes in the cup. And you're like, wow, that's he was right.
Did you make your mountain and cactus course yet?
No, I haven't. I'm working on that though. It's really difficult to build a mountain and put a cactus in front of it. So that's very strange. You know, somebody that's the only reason. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, I played the game, and there's nothing there in the base model of the game that would suggest, you know, hey, look, this is inappropriate. So I can't help but wonder if something happened in one of the created courses, and they had to change the rating on it.
Nintendo would be the ones to do that.
Yes, they would. They would. Moving along, Mutant Mudds Deluxe coming soon to the Nintendo Switch. Jules Watsham, is that right? Is that Watsham?
Is that a real name?
Watsham? I'm gonna go Jules Watsham. I don't like Watsham. Jules Watsham, the head of a TUI, recently posted an image to his Twitter showing the game running on the Switch screen. No more information has been present at the moment, such as a release one or anything like that, but at least we know that this excellent platformer is progressing well and works for the console. Any of you guys play Mutant Mudds Deluxe? Mutant Mudds games are awesome.
I think I've only played like a demo of the original Mutant Mudds. I never played the deluxe one, but it is a really cool game. I like those. I like the developer. They do some really interesting games.
Mutant Mudds is hard as hell, but it is super fun. Like it's really fun. It's got this 3D world that you can bounce around to different like panes of it. It's really good. I really like those games. That'll be a perfect game for the Switch. In the strangest news this week, Game Vice is going after Nintendo. They've launched a patent lawsuit over the Switch Joy-Con concept. The lawsuit, the lawsuit launched citing a patent violation, namely that the Joy-Con concept is allegedly too similar to the detachable controller and flexible bridge section seen in previous Game Vice products. As is the norm in these cases, Game Vice wants a substantial settlement and for Switch sales to be stopped.
Good luck.
It always happens. It always happens when a new hot product comes out. It comes out, obviously it's a Nintendo Switch. This thing was going to sell a ton. But there's always going to be someone going, no, that was my idea. Here's enter Game Vice. They want a substantial settlement. And they want Nintendo to take the Switch off the market.
What's Game Vice?
Exactly. Good luck. That's just not going to happen. And a couple more things you want to talk about. Thimbleweed Park is coming to the Nintendo Switch in September. Touchscreen support confirmed. Now, I picked this up on Xbox One. Have not been able to play it yet. I really think this on the Switch would be an ideal spot.
Yep.
So I'm going to be an idiot and buy it again.
That's
on the Nintendo Switch in September.
Yep. Point-and-click adventure game with touchscreen support. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That sounds awesome.
That seems like that'd be a really good idea. So I know a lot of people love Thimbleweed Park reviewed very well. A lot of people speak very highly of it. And like you guys said, right there on the Switch, that'd be a perfect spot for it. I'm going to pick it up there now because I haven't played it on Xbox One.
Just don't buy it on PlayStation 4 in a couple weeks.
I'm not going to.
Don't triple dip. Don't do it.
Don't worry, I'm not. I already did that with Destiny 2. All right. Lastly, Brawlout has been confirmed for the Nintendo Switch. That is coming later this year. Brawlout, is that the one that's in beta on PS4 right now?
No, that's Brawlhalla.
Brawlhalla. Man, there's too many Brawl games.
There are several of these games.
Now, Brawlout, this is similar to Smash Bros, right?
Yeah, I think this one features a lot of indie game heroes in it. I think along with this announcement, they announced that the protagonist from Hyper Light Drifter is a playable character now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm not 100% sure what Brawlout is, but that's what I'm gathering it is. It's an indie Smash Brothers like.
Well, that'll be coming out later this year. That should keep you. That should hold you over until Smash Bros. Actually gets announced for the Switch, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Wii U version eventually. Is that going to happen, Bender?
I still think so. I don't know when, but I still think it's going to happen.
Well, you better hurry up because Brawlout's here to steal the thunder. Frankie, Ubisoft opened a new studio in Stockholm. This is headed up by former DICE studio manager Patrick Bach. They're working on a new Avatar game, man. What's going on with this?
Yeah, man. It sounds like Ubisoft is ramping up a team over there. I think they have 100 people already, so they're looking to bring on another 200 for this game. But this game sounds like it's going to be a big budget project for them. So, I mean, I think they have the right leadership. Obviously, DICE, when Patrick was there, DICE thrived. So I think Ubisoft put the studio in good hands. Actually curious to see how this game turns out. I've never dabbled with one of their Avatar games before. But yeah, it sounds like they're going all in on this one. So hopefully it's good.
Hopefully. We'll see. And the last thing we're going to touch on is some Xbox news. Now, this first thing is pretty interesting. Microsoft may be changing the way achievements work. Speaking to Windows Central, Xbox Platform Corporate Vice President Mike Ibarra explained that his team is, quote unquote, or quote, working towards a bigger, more meaningful change about somebody's gaming accomplishments and history as a gamer on Xbox. We can do a lot more to reflect and let people show their gaming history and their status, he continued. Whether it's somebody who only plays multiplayer in Halo 5 at a professional level, maybe they only have 2,000 game score, you want to be able to celebrate that person. While Ibarra explained that the specifics of how achievements will be altered can't be discussed right now, he said, we're going to go big in the area of letting people show off and represent their gaming history and the type of gamer that they are. Far more than we do with the gamer score. Sounds pretty interesting, Frankie. This sounds, I mean, obviously we look at it, in my opinion, I think trophies are more appealing than achievements. I like having trophies. You can showcase your trophies. Like, hey, look, I've got platinums. You know, with achievements for myself, I don't feel like saying, hey, look, I got 1,000 here is as appealing as, hey, I got a platinum over here. You know, I've got this many goals. You can really see what you've done. It sounds like Xbox is trying to do something really big in that regard, and I think that's awesome. But I want to get your thoughts on this, man. What do you think they got going on?
Yeah, no, it's hard to say. I think it would be great for those who really only stick to things like Halo 5. Like we know JD is a huge Halo 5 multiplayer advocate. He has like over 1,000 hours invested in that game's multiplayer. Very talented Halo player, so I think it would be really cool to see them find ways to kind of let him show off some of his accomplishments in that game. I don't know how you would go about doing that, but I think it's a good idea, personally. I have to wonder what this would mean for third-party games. Like, what are you going to do for people investing that time in Call of Duty, games like Battlefield, Titanfall, Battlefront? So I'm definitely interested to hear what they do. I think it's a really cool idea. I personally, I've been playing a lot of Titanfall 2 on there, so if I could find a way to, kind of show off some of the cool things that I've been able to accomplish in that game, I think that would be really cool. But I mean, I really like the way that like Xbox achievements kind of track like a pretty wide range of stats. Like you have you have your completion counter, sure, but then you have like how much time you've actually invested in the game, how far you are like in the story, stuff like that. Just minor quality of life things that I appreciate. But the other thing that I was thinking was, back when the Xbox One launched, they used to have challenges, and those have kind of vanished. So I don't know.
What did challenges do?
So challenges were like Titanfall. When Titanfall launched, this is the only one that I have ever gone after and have. But like, Titanfall had a challenge that was if you prestiged by the end of launch month, It's just like basically like a
Yes.
it pops up like an achievement, but it it has no value and it's just kind of there with listed with your achievements.
Mm-hmm.
But those don't. I don't think they do them anymore. I know Sunset Overdrive had a ton of them. It was just kind of a way to keep like the community involved. Like Sunset Overdrive had a lot of community, communulative challenges. So like players kill so many thousand OD and you get to complete a challenge with a certain weapon, like stuff like that. So I think like finding a way to kind of make those more relevant, because like I said, they seem to have disappeared. So I think bringing something like that back would be really cool. Especially if you kind of can pick out some feats in certain multiplayer games and components of multiplayer games to actually, like JD coming back from 20-0 and winning a game of SWAT, like stuff like that. I think would be really cool to have a challenge or something to show off for that you've done.
Mm-hmm. No, I would like to see them expand a little bit more on, that's one thing you mentioned. I love about the achievements is when you go into the achievements for a specific game, they've got leaderboards for like certain parts of the game, certain things like, how many enemies have you killed, how much XP you've earned or stuff like that, like specific things related to that game. Some of them are very detailed, like very specific to that game. And I really like how they do it. I wish PlayStation had something like that in their list. Obviously I love trophies, but I like to see those specific statistics listed. I love that the achievements have that. I love that Xbox does that. I'd like to see them expand on that more and maybe use that to kind of celebrate stuff like, hey, look, this guy's been the top, killer in Call of Duty out of all your friends list for the last 3 months. Boom, here's his gamer pick and whatnot, and do stuff like that. Like you said, celebrate players in ways like that. I think that'd be really cool. Now, Bender, I know that you've got some achievements, and I know you're a trophy hunter as well. What would you like to see Microsoft do in terms of achievements to make, kind of celebrate your achievements more?
I don't know. I'm not sure what they would do or what I would want them to do, but I do kind of like the idea of them finding a way to, highlight people's achievements if they don't get a ton of achievements in a bunch of different games, if they focus on one game and play that game a lot. Because I mean, at a certain point you've gotten all the achievements in the game and you're just playing it just for fun. But if they find a way for you to continually show off what you've done to the community and stuff like that, I think that'd be cool. I don't know what I personally would want out of it, but I don't know. Like you guys, I do like that they do track the progress of your achievements on Xbox. That's really cool. I wish PlayStation did that for certain trophies, but yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do, though.
I'm really curious to see what they do with this, man, because like I said, I think they've got, as much as I don't care about the actual achievement gamer score, I do love the individual statistics they keep and with like a leaderboard and those. I love how they do that, and I would like to see them expand on that a little bit more. So we heard there might be some changes coming to achievements. We also found out that the Xbox Insider Program registration has reopened to everybody. Previously, the program was limited to a select group of players, but Microsoft has announced anyone will be able to opt into the lower tier of the Insider Program. Currently, the program is split up into 4 rings: the Alpha, Beta, Delta, and Omega. Omega is the outermost ring a user can opt into, earning early access to upcoming system updates. Participation in the Omega group can eventually lead to the more exclusive Alpha, Beta, and Delta rings, assuming your input is helpful to Microsoft. If you're interested in joining the Xbox Insider Program, search the Xbox One store for Xbox Insider Hub and download the app and get started today. I want to ask you guys something real quick. And, we've been in betas. We've tried out betas and stuff like that. How much input do you guys really give back to the developer? I want to talk on an individual basis. I can tell you right now, I've been in a lot of betas. I think I've sent 1 email, maybe 2, in the last generation of consoles. Of all the betas I've been in, I never provide feedback. I know I should, but I never do. I never have the motivation to. I usually just play the game for what it's worth and assume that changes will be made and whatnot. Do you guys get involved in that stuff, Bender?
I don't think I've ever provided feedback on a beta. I play betas just to try out. It's my way of trying out a game before it comes out to know if it's something I'd be interested in. I really feel like, I mean, they probably got all their stuff out of the way with the alpha. as far as things that they want to fix and things.
Mhm.
I mean, the game is set. I guess they're still looking for little bugs to look for to fix and stuff like that. So I guess you could, if you can encounter something like that, you can give feedback on it. But yeah, I think the majority, people who provide feedback on beta stuff and they try to say, oh, well, you should change this level or something. That's like the game's done by beta.
Mhm.
They're not going to change any fundamental things about the game. They're just looking for like little quality of life things to improve on, which I don't think I've ever encountered any like major things that I would like, oh man, I wish they would fix this in a beta. I mean, the beta is like, I don't know. I have fun in a beta and I like it and then I move on. So I've never really felt the need to provide feedback on them.
Clearly, you were not in the SOCOM confrontation beta. Franklin, any interest in providing feedback in betas or stuff like this?
I think there's been maybe a game or two that I've actually gone and here's my problem with them. So a lot of the times you do one of these betas, it's not send us an email, send us something. It's go register for our forums and go in our beta comment section and post in there. I don't like that stuff. Drives me crazy. First of all, because you have everybody else in there who wanted to go and register, and I start wondering like, well, there's already a thread for the thing that I thought of with 50 comments. Like, what am I going to contribute to that hasn't already been said?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I am with a lot of those. It's just I run into things that people are already talking about, things are already being addressed. But like also I don't know how many developers actually are going to sit there and go through every single thread.
Right.
So, but I think of like one time where I ran into a bug on a beta I was playing, and I went on the forums and made a thread, and I don't think it ever got fixed or acknowledged or anything. So I don't know. I mean, the problem with me is just like I don't know that it's being acknowledged. I don't know if it's actually going anywhere. So is it really worth my time going through all these hoops just to say, hey, your game crashes if you crouch in this corner and throw a grenade or something like that, So
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't get motivated enough to go in and write an email and say, hey, look, this sucks, or I don't like this because maybe I'm just being a whiny bitch and I don't want to, they're going to look at me like he's just being a whiny bitch. Maybe I just got my butt kicked that day and that's it. But I mean, I don't know. It's just, I know they appreciate the feedback. I just feel like there's better people out there that can get the message across better and be more more fair about it. But it's a cool concept, and I'm glad it's there. Maybe some of the changes that go in there really do benefit the game and benefit the community. But so yeah, if you wanted to be a part of that, you can hop into the Insider program now. Last bit of Xbox news: the Creators Program has finally launched. Microsoft has announced that any developer can now publish their games directly to Xbox One and Windows 10 with the Xbox Live Creators Program. The first wave of games from the Creators Program is live now for everyone on Xbox One and Windows 10 PCs. The Creator Program enables developers to directly publish their games to Xbox One with a simplified certification progress and no concept approval required. Developers that publish through the Creators Program have the freedom and independence to develop games the way they want to. Now, Frankie, correct me if I'm wrong, is this the program where there's no achievements tied to these games?
Yeah, and I think they're all free.
They're all free? Okay.
I think so.
Anybody check out any of the games that came out?
No. I get a little nervous with that because I think 360 has something similar to this, and there's a lot of junk on there. So
disappointing.
Yeah, so it depends how aggressive Microsoft is at filtering submissions, I guess.
Right. So yeah, if you want to make a game, you want to publish it straight there, you can use the developers program. All right, guys, that's it for the news. But we have an email. Bender, who do we have an email from?
Yeah, we got an email from one of our listeners, Kessock, and he had a question about the GameCube story that we talked about earlier in the show. Basically, he says, with GameCube games showing up this week on Nintendo Europe servers, I've never played any GameCube games. He said it's the only Nintendo console that he didn't own. He said, so what games would you want, and what games would you recommend? So basically, what GameCube games would we want to see on the Switch, and what games would we recommend to someone who's never played GameCube before? I'll let you guys go first. I've got a whole list that I'm gonna want to talk about because I love the GameCube and they had a lot of great games on it. So I'll let you guys go first.
For me personally, my go-to recommendation for the GameCube is Luigi's Mansion. That was actually the game that sold me on needing to buy a GameCube. It's the first console I ever saved up lunch money, allowance money, any money I get my hands on to buy the console. So I got the game for Christmas, still well before I had the system itself. But as a Ghostbusters fan growing up, Luigi's Mansion was kind of the first video game that I could actually play and kind of feel like it was a Ghostbusters game, even though it really wasn't. But the boss fights are really cool. You have different like elemental effects that you're using the vacuum with. And it's just cool. Like Mario is not the center of this game. Like this is just, Luigi, who's kind of his little, is he the younger brother or is he just an older brother?
He's the younger brother.
Younger brother? Of course he is. So, the scared younger brother, it was kind of like that game where he stepped out of Mario's shadow and I felt like he just nailed it. It was a game that I remember when I finally got my GameCube. I played that game for 2 weeks straight. Like every night I'd get home from school, get my homework done, and I would just play Luigi's Mansion until I had to go to bed. And I loved it. It was fantastic. The other couple games I would recommend would be the Pikmin games, especially the first one. I don't really ever get into like a lot of those survival games or anything like that, but you're kind of going around, like you crash land on this planet, so you find these little creatures called Pikmin. So the different colored ones have different abilities. Like, you have the blue ones, obviously, that are resistant to water. Red ones are resistant to fire. I think you could throw the yellow ones further.
Yeah, they would go higher.
Yeah. So each of them had a different role and, kind of being utilized to take down monsters on a planet. And, you need so many to obtain the pieces of your ship that are scattered around the world. And you have like a certain amount of days to work with. I think you have 30 days. To recover 18 parts, maybe. But I don't know. I don't remember how many parts there were, but I always was missing just one part, which you could leave the planet with all but this one part. But every single time I would reload my save and try to go back and get that last part on the last day. I would always lose one Pikmin too many, so you needed like 250 Pikmin to grab it, and I'd always have 249. So I never finished the game with all of the pieces of the ship. So I don't know if there's a different ending or anything that goes with that, but the first Pikmin game was great though. I have a lot of fond memories of playing that. And obviously Super Smash Bros. Melee. It's probably, I would argue, the best Smash Bros. Game. I love Brawl. I thought the one on the Wii U was really great too, but Melee was like my very first Smash Bros. Game. You remember your first, more so than any past it. So that's a game I spent a lot of time with. And the last game I'd want to see would be Mario Kart Double Dash. That's in my opinion the best Mario Kart. I love 64. I love Mario Kart DS. Super Mario Kart's great, but to me, I thought Double Dash was the best one. That was not my first. 64 was my first Mario Kart game, but Double Dash was a lot of fun. The battle mode was really cool. And kind of having like the teamed up characters, it was a lot of fun. I loved blasting my brother with turtle shells. So it was a great time.
Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna go down my list here. Now, these are all games that I both would recommend you try, and games that I would love to see ported to the Switch or Virtual Console or whatever. Super Mario Sunshine. Is an obvious one. I mean, it's a really good Mario game, very underrated Mario game. It's Mario's trying to clean up a beach. He's been framed for throwing this graffiti and mud all over the place, and he's gets this water shooter backpack thing that he just uses to clean up. It's a very different type of Mario game. It's unlike any others. But it was a really interesting, cool game. I agree with Frankie. Mario Kart Double Dash is awesome. It was super cool to have two characters on the same cart that you could swap between. Each set of characters had their own specific weapon, which is something that they like, their own special weapon that would pop up. That was just something they haven't really done in any of the other games since. Luigi's Mansion, I agree. There's a launch title, super cool game. I played that game to death. I beat it back in the day, and I love that game. Yeah, Smash Brothers Melee, Zelda Wind Waker,
Yes.
Metroid Prime 1 and 2, and Pikmin 1 and 2 are all ones that I wanted to mention. Those are all a little bit tricky though, because I mean, well, not Melee, not that one, but Wind Waker was already remastered for the Wii U. So if they do anything, they'll probably bring the remastered version over. Metroid Prime 1 and 2 became part of the Metroid Prime trilogy, which is probably what they would bring over.
God, I hope they don't.
Why?
Because I don't want the damn motion control crap. I just want the GameCube controller support. Play 'em on the
I
controller
like the
without-
motion controls. I liked it. And Pikmin 1 and 2 were both also redone with pointer controls and stuff, and that's probably what they would do. Sorry, Frankie. But I love those games as well. Those are great. Another one that I think is really good is Animal Crossing. Now, the thing about Animal Crossing, it's probably not going to happen because, for one thing, the series has come a long way since that first game. That first game was very bare bones compared to what they've done since. Also, that first game, you could collect these little mini Nintendo consoles that you could put in your house and play old Nintendo games like Excite Bike and Mario Brothers and Balloon Fight. You could collect them and play the actual game. They're not going to bring that back because that would basically
free virtual console games.
Yes, that game came out before the virtual console was a thing, so that was cool to do in that game. But I don't think they would do that again.
Play virtual console games in your virtual console game.
Yeah, it's like virtual console Inception. Another one I wanted to point out was Star Fox Adventures. Now, the thing about that one is, I remember really liking the game. Maybe it sucked. I don't know.
It didn't suck. No, your memory is right.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool game. That one is another one that's tricky because it was developed by Rare, so there's probably a lot of weird legal stuff going on, so it may never come back. But I would love to revisit that game because I thought that game was really, really cool. Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader was a GameCube exclusive. Super cool Star Wars game where you flew around in X-Wings and all kinds you perform different missions and all kinds of stuff. There was like a Hoth level, like an ice level where you took down the walkers and all that stuff. It was awesome. It was a really, really good game. And you did the Death Star trench run, all that stuff. It was super cool.
That's a great game.
The Super Monkey Ball games,
Yes.
Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2, both great games. They had some really cool like mini games like Monkey Golf and Monkey Target, where you would like roll down the hill and try to land and get points by landing on the right spots on this target that was in the middle of the water. Monkey Bowling, all that stuff. Yeah, and the main campaign was really cool. You just try to navigate your way through to the end of these levels without falling off. It was weird because like you would tilt the whole stage by moving the control stick, and that would make the monkey roll around. It was a really cool series.
A lot like Marble Madness.
Yeah, it's kind of like a modern day Marble Madness, kind of like that in 3D.
Yes.
So that was a good game. F-Zero GX, the last great F-Zero game. Really, the last F-Zero game, I think. I thought it was good. That's one I would like to see come back, or Frankie doesn't seem to agree. It's okay.
I didn't feel the same way about GX.
It's okay. Mario Golf was an awesome iteration on the GameCube. I played that game a lot. They had some really cool courses, different characters you could play as, different challenges you could do, like hitting targets or hitting through rings and all kinds of cool stuff you could do in that game. So that would be a great one as well. Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. It's another one.
That'd be nice.
That I would love to see again. That was a really cool sequel to the original Paper Mario game that was on N64. That was a cool series.
I would argue that was the last good Paper Mario game.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah.
The one on the Wii was alright, but the Wii U one's bad.
Yeah, the one on the Wii, they kind of moved away from the turn-based battles, and it was like more action focused, which I was okay. But yeah, I kind of like the turn-based RPG style that the first two Paper Mario games had.
Yeah.
So those are all GameCube exclusives. There are some third-party games that I also played and loved on GameCube, which I don't know if they would add to a virtual console, but SSX Tricky and SSX 3, awesome snowboarding games that I really, Tricky especially. God, I love that game. I played that game so much, just trying to doing courses over and over again to try to get the high score, and the characters were so over the top. The tricks you did were so outlandish and fun to look at. It's so much fun. Beautiful Joe was another one that I really loved. It's a really cool side-scrolling action game where you slow down time or speed up time and did these different attacks and stuff like that. Really cool mechanics. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. I know there were other Tony Hawk games, but Pro Skater 3 was my favorite. It was the one on the GameCube that I played a lot. You could play as Wolverine or Darth Maul. Those were both unlockable characters. And 2 Simpsons games that came out. Simpsons Hit and Run and Simpsons Road Rage.
Yes.
Both fantastic games. Road Rage was basically...
Crazy Taxi.
Yeah, Road Rage was the one that was like Crazy Taxi, where you pick passengers up, drop them off, driving around. Hit and Run was like a Grand Theft Auto clone, but Simpsons style. They basically completely recreated Springfield in a video game world, so there's tons and tons and tons of references. So if you're a Simpsons fan, that game was amazing. I really would love to play that game again if it ever comes out, but it probably won't. But anyway, and that's pretty much it. Those are the ones I came up with on my list. That's a very long list, but I love the GameCube. Like I said, lots of cool games on it, and I would love to see any or all of those games come back.
Well, there you go, Kenny. You got a whole ton of choices from Bender right there. A lot of great games. I never owned a GameCube. Never played a single game on it. I know it's a great system, but I think that was I don't know what I was doing at that time. But yeah,
Playing SOCOM.
I was probably playing a lot of SOCOM. That pretty much consumed my life. Let's wrap this show up, gentlemen. Where can we find you gaming and tweeting? Bender.
I'm on Twitter at Bender_guitar. And you can find me on PlayStation Network and Nintendo Network at me_Bender. And Xbox Live at me_Bender82.
Franklin.
As always, you could find me not gaming on PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, and Nintendo Switch at Viper Strike. And that's my Twitter handle as well.
Awesome. You can find me on Twitter at TheDude1979, the PlayStation Network and Nintendo Network, TheDude79, and Xbox Live, The Real Dude79. You can also check out Boyce. He'll be not tweeting at Piccolo930. That's also his PSN and his Nintendo ID as well. Make sure you visit the website, www.shortpause.com. Follow us on Twitter at The Short Pause. You can listen to this podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, and Stitcher. If you really like this podcast, though, if you really like it a lot, go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, write out a nice review. Those reviews help us get a lot of exposure. It gets our show out there more. They're greatly appreciated. If you're not ready to give us a 5-star rating, that's fine. We don't want any fake ones. Send us an email, podcast@shortpause.com. Let us know your feedback and your criticisms. We take that stuff seriously. It's the only way the show's going to get better. We want to hear from you. We need to hear from you. If you want to go over to the website, go ahead. There's a post for this podcast. Go right into the comments. Sound off there. Any questions you want us to talk about, any topics, anything, we want to hear from you. It's the only way the show will get better is if we continue to hear from you. You can watch this podcast on YouTube, which is Short Pause Gaming. You can also watch it on Twitch, Short Pause Gaming, and we're also streaming to Mixer, Short Pause Gaming. It's safe to assume that this week on Tuesday night for the Indie Spotlight, Ben will be streaming Matterfall. It's the lock of the year. That is what he'll be playing on Tuesday night. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. 10 p.m. Matterfall will be featured on the Tuesday night Indie Spotlight. For Mr. Holt and Mr. Ayler, I'm Brent Felsing. Thanks again for listening and watching the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. We'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.